subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Beasts is worlds apart. There is no comparison. Chen subdued Suicune, one of the three holy beasts. The fifth watch, the debt repayment chapter. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I deleted, changed, and sorted out the outline. The Kanto region is too long ago, and it's almost the anime I watched in elementary school. The memory of some things is fuzzy, and I have to read TV and comics again, and the coding is very slow, and I still owe 10 chapters. I will start a Try 6 updates tomorrow. Can you let me owe 100 chapters and continue to ask for flowers, ask for evaluation tickets? Other authors may not add updates after asking. But don't worry, I will not break my promise. I will explode the update and pay it off. Otherwise, I went to bed early. How could I stay up until 3 in the morning? Chapter 26. Looking for the remains of the god of the earth. Team Rocket's God-creating plan. Suicune is the sacred beast of the Kanto continent. Compared with other mythical beasts that appear and disappear, Suicune is the most frequently seen mythical beast by humans. It has been wandering among the mountains and rivers, purifying the polluted water quality, and is the patron saint of the Kanto continent. Why did it appear on the island where Chen is? Just passing by? Still, because this sea area is polluted, it comes to purify. I didn't come here for you, and I didn't mean to catch you. I was going to the island. Cynthia pointed to the island in front. Maybe Suicune thought he was here to catch it, so he was malicious towards him. Cynthia knew how much she was. Although Garchomp had stepped into the legendary level, he had no chance of winning in the face of the beast level Suicune. What's more, divine beasts are so easy to capture. If you want to subdue the beast, it is useless to rely on force. Only the beast will follow it sincerely. Pokeball can easily break free for ordinary Pokémon, let alone a mythical beast. The role of Pokeball is to give Pokémon who are willing to follow them a place to live. Even if you defeat the beast and subdue it with Pokeball, if the beast doesn't follow you sincerely and doesn't recognize you, it will leave. Unless you can use special means to control the beast. As she spoke, she patted Garchomp. Garchomp understood and flew towards the island. Another jet of water blocked Garchomp's path. Roar! Suicune bared his teeth and let out a low growl. Feeling the expulsion emanating from Suicune, Cynthia frowned. What happened to Suicune? At this time, wow! Waving its claws at the beach, Scyther, who was training by herself, heard the movement and flew over. Seeing Cynthia, it explained something to Suicune. After hearing this, Suicune shook his tail, followed the north wind, and ran towards the island with a light posture. Watching this scene, Cynthia felt like she was going crazy. Why does she have a sense of déjà vu? Suicune is like a watchdog. Scyther motioned for Cynthia to follow. Garchomp followed Scyther to the center of the island. In the center of the island, Chen is reclining on a wooden chair under the warm sun. Guladon is resting on a big rock, and Kyogre is swimming in the water. As for Dragonite and Celebi, I don't know where they went, but Celebi and Dragonite hit it off unexpectedly. One is silly and the other is cute. The two formed the Menghan combination. The island has already been explored, and they're all mild-tempered monsters, so they're not afraid of danger. The years are quiet, and everything feels very comfortable. Chen is very satisfied with this kind of life. A gust of wind blew in, and a blue figure came in front of him. It's Suicune. Just now it went to the sea to experiment and was promoted. It's very strong, much better than its previous self. When encountering Zapdos again, even if attribute is restrained, it will not be so passive. It lay at Chen's feet, feeling the comfortable breath on Chen's body, and closed its eyes for a short rest. Cynthia rushed over and saw Suicune lying at Chen's feet and fell into a sluggish contest condition, although she had already guessed in her heart. But when I actually saw this scene, it was still extremely unbelievable. Chen, who the hell is he? Even the beasts can be subdued. She was also sure that the power of her own Garchomp was the other party's contribution because of that potion. The potion that can make Pokémon recover instantly must be some precious material, and there is something that can make Pokémon realize its origin. In fact, Cynthia's guess is correct. Because of the Mega Healing Potion, Garchomp has experienced a death battle, and stepping into the legendary level is just a step away from the source of perception. And the ingredient of the Mega Healing Potion has Vermint Fruit, which just helped it. Yo, Cynthia, are you here? Luchin saw Cynthia with a little joy on his face. Although I'm very happy to get along with my magic pet, I am human after all. Seeing that Luchin didn't have any airs of superiority, Cynthia breathed a sigh of relief. The two were chatting, and Cynthia also speculated about Luchin's identity. But each time the other party would smile mysteriously, shook his head, and said nothing. This gives Cynthia an even more mysterious identity. Who exactly is Luchin? If Luchin knew what she was thinking, he would definitely be confused. It's not that he didn't want to say it, but he couldn't say that he had traveled through time, right? Just chat for an afternoon. Then I'll go back first. Seeing that it was getting late, Cynthia said to Luchin, I have a vacant cabin here, and you can spend the night here. Luchin still has a lot to say, and through chatting with Cynthia, he has a general understanding of the world. It turns out that this is not a pure Western fantasy world. Although it has Warcraft, the civilization has developed to the modern age. It is more like a world where the Western fantasy world and modern civilization are combined. I have something to do tomorrow, so I can't for the time being. Cynthia smiled wryly. Well, then wait for me. Luchin returned to the wooden house. This is the fruit I planted myself. It's delicious. Take it home and try it. The others haven't grown yet. I hope you don't dislike them. What he gave to Cynthia were 3 vermilion fruits. Cynthia is my first friend in this world, so it is understandable to give some berries I planted as gifts. When the seeds germinate, there will be 20 vermilion fruit trees, so there's no need to worry about not enough, and it is not a precious thing. Thanks. Cynthia took it. Garchomp lifted off and disappeared on the island sky. The next day, Cynthia and an elite trainer from the Oak family left Kanto. The Oak family held a compass-like instrument in their hands. The instrument has an interface connected to the glowing round stone. The two set off to find the remains of the Earth Beast. At the same time, in a hollowed-out mountain in Saffron City, in a room full of sci-fi style, Master Ariana, the champions of all regions have left. How are the experimental subjects? Everything's ready. What did the boss say? Boss said that this is just an interesting experiment. You are solely responsible. He has no time to deal with it. He is at the main base, and the God-making plan has reached a critical stage. The woman named Ariana said with a smile, Is the God-making plan reaching a critical period? I'm really looking forward to it. Our rockets will soon dominate the entire world. For the sake of the Celebrate God-making project, let's start the grand ceremony. As you order, Lord Ariana. Chapter 27, Viridian Forest, Pokémon Riot. Often staying in the dark base, Ariana's face is a little sickly pale, and she has fiery red hair. She is the top person in charge of the Rockets base in Saffron City and one of the core executives of the Rockets. Ariana left her office and came to a huge laboratory. This lab houses many large machines, like the Orbird Furnace Normal. In addition, there are many power-generating devices similar to transformers. Arm-sized wires can be seen everywhere, and these wires connect the huge glass vessels. There is some green liquid in the glassware. The whole lab looks like a giant power plant. Master Ariana. There are many researchers in white coats working in the laboratory, and when they see Ariana, they respectfully greet her. Ariana sat at the main seat and bought herself a glass of red wine. She sipped the red wine lightly. Her lips were as red as her hair. Slightly shaking the red wine glass in her hand, she said, How are you getting ready? Everything is normal, and the final experiment can be started at any time. Then let's get started and start our actual combat experiment. If the experimental data is as we expected, then our rockets will have another trump card. Yes. The researchers returned to their posts. The huge screen on the front of the lab lit up. ZZ, there was the sound of gears turning, and the floor in the middle of the laboratory bloomed like a flower bud, revealing the situation under the floor. The laboratory was actually hollow. Inside is a large circular pit with a sophisticated gear instrument inside. There are tentacle-like things extending around this huge precision instrument, and each tentacle has a groove at the end, densely packed with hundreds of them. The most frightening thing is each of these grooves has a big round ball between the red Baixiang. Naughty Bomb. Electric-type, self-destruct Pokémon. At this time, these naughty bombs closed their eyes and fell asleep. Let's start. Ka. The sound of the gears turning together sounded, and the naughty bullet's face flashed with pain. Zzz. Lei Meng continuously bloomed from them. Buzz. The terrifying current was absorbed by the tentacles, and the yellow bars lit up on the precision instrument, as if charging normal. This yellow bar is rising rapidly. These currents are transmitted to each instrument through arm-thick wires. The liquid in the glass vessel was bubbling and bubbling. In an instant, the entire laboratory was filled with colorful lights. Final experiment, start. The person in charge of the laboratory pushed up the lever at hand. Saffron City's base is built in a hollowed-out mountain. On the top of the mountain, there is something like a signal tower, and an invisible wave spreads out from the signal tower. Viridian Forest is the largest forest in the Kanto region, stretching all the way to the Chengdu region. Starts in the outskirts of Jobin City. There are many mysterious rumors here that someone once saw Ho-Oh in the depths of the evergreen forest. Some people also subdued the Kanto quasi-god here. Many trainers will choose to come here to capture the Pokémon they want. Opportunities and dangers coexist here. There are also many trainers buried in the forest. Without certain strength, I dare not go to the depths of Viridian Forest at all. But at this time, different changes have taken place in the Viridian Forest. What's going on? What happened to these Pokémon? There are Alliance Rangers in the Evergreen Forest patrolling the outskirts. At this moment, he looked at it a little at a loss. I saw that the Pokémon in the entire forest didn't know what was wrong, and they screamed in pain one by one. It's like going crazy. The ranger wanted to go up to see what was going on, but even the docile Oddish would attack him. How is this going? The rangers are concerned, but the focus now is on calming them down. Venusaur used sleep powder. After running out of the Pokeball, Venusaur, the final evolution of Kanto Grass Lord, appeared, and Venusaur released a large amount of powder. The powder is carried by the wind towards the Pokémon in the forest. But no use, even covered by sleep powder. These Pokémon are not lethargic. Even Caterpie is the same. Stun Spore. No use. What exactly is going on? Why doesn't it work? When he was anxious, suddenly, a light appeared in front of his eyes. All the time, a white light appeared from Diglett's body, and he evolved into Dugtrio in an instant. Evolved, he was a little taken aback. But then, extreme disbelief flashed across his face. I saw, as far as I can see, all Pokémon are lit up with white light, the light of evolution. Caterpie rose from White Cow and evolved into Metapod. Less than a second later, the Metapod's body lit up with white light again, and it evolved into Butterfree. The ranger was extremely terrified. How could this be possible? What happened in the forest? Suddenly, there was a sharp cracking sound from behind, and a Victory Bell used Razor Leaf on him. Venusaur countered, and Vine Whip slammed the Razor Leaf out, sending Victory Bell flying. But it didn't seem to feel the pain, so it rushed up, biting him with its huge man-eating mouth. The rangers released Baijiao and rode Baijiao to soaring in the sky in the Viridian Forest. It's not right. There were explosions all over the forest, and the Pokémon went berserk with bloodshot eyes. Rumble. Finally, these violent Pokémon left Viridian Forest and headed toward Viridian City, not far away. Chapter 28. Professor Oak is furious. The Pokémon that originally inhabited the Viridian Forest, with scarlet eyes one by one, walked out of the Viridian Forest and headed towards the direction of Viridian City. At this time in Tokiwa City, Mosquito Repellent Frog, what's wrong with you? A trainer yells at the rampaging mosquito frogs. His Poliwag just evolved into a fast-swimming frog, but it didn't obey his orders at all, and it was destroying wantonly. He tries to get it back with a Pokeball, but it doesn't work. The mosquito repellent frog stared at its owner, Its eyes were scarlet. It roared, and its fist slammed towards its owner. Thunderbolt. Lei Meng covered the body of the mosquito-repellent frog. The mosquito-repellent frog fell to the ground, eyes rolling in circles. Put away the Pokémon and take refuge in the Pokémon Center. Ginny said to the trainer. There was a thunder Pokémon beside her. Ginny's face was heavy. Many people's Pokémon went berserk and evolved inexplicably. And the Pokémon in the Viridian Forest also rioted, heading towards Viridian City. Ginny is terrified at the thought of the Pokémon living in the Viridian Forest rioting. Fortunately, the 4 elites are on their way to full strength. Moreover, Professor Oak has been turned to for help. Saffron City, Rocket Hideout. Master Ariana. The strength has reached 100. In the screen of a laboratory, the situation of Viridian Forest is played. There were explosions and flames, and the Pokémon were forced to evolve and go berserk, attacking everything in front of them. However, there are also some Pokémon who have not been forced to evolve, and some have reached the final form level and are very high, not affected by these sound waves. Turn on overload and see the upper limit. Yes, Zizizi. The lightning power on Lei Electro Ball's body was crazily drawn, and an expression of extreme pain appeared on his face. A sonic enhancement that causes Pokémon to evolve forcibly. In an instant, some Pokémon that could resist sound waves also evolved and joined the Rampage Army. Professor Oak Laboratory. The backyard of Professor Oak's laboratory occupies a huge area, where the Pokémon that he usually needs to study are kept. There are various terrains, and it is a small ecological circle where Pokémon of different attributes can find the growth environment they need. Professor Oak is feeding this group of Pokémon: Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, the Usangia and Kanto. These Pokémon were just born. Professor, after receiving Jenny's distress call, the Pokémon in the Viridian Forest rioted, and the Pokémon inexplicably appeared. Group evolution. Group evolution? Professor Oak was stunned for a moment, and then followed. Roar! Seeds! Jenny! The Usangia grumbled in pain. They hugged their heads and rolled on the ground, their eyes gradually filled with blood mist. Next second, in an instant, the white glow invaded the field of vision, and the eyes were pale, and the white light was so dazzling that it was impossible to open the eyes. Roar! A low roar came, and all the Usangia had evolved at this time. Charmeleon, Ivysaur, Wartortle. Their eyes were blood red, extremely tyrannical. Ember, Razor Leaf, Water Gun. They use abilities on Professor Oak. Professor Oak disappeared in place. Boom, boom, boom. The skill blasted a big crater on the ground. The figure of Professor Oak appeared more than 10 meters away. Next to him was a cat Pokémon with a pink body, a red gem on its forehead, and 2 tails. One of the branches of Eevee evolves, the sun Pokémon of the Super Energy System. Confusion. The ruby on Pokémon's forehead glowed red. Confusion poured out, and the group of Usangia fell to the ground, their eyes circling. In the eyes of Professor Oak, fiery wrath. These royal families are all Earl Dervish Pokémon for Trainer, who is going on a trip this year. Now it's all evolved. Professor, a strange sound wave was detected just now. This sound wave can make Pokémon's blood agitate and produce evolution. It is preliminarily speculated that this strange sound wave is only effective for Pokémon below the normal level and has not reached its final form. Or Pokémon with normal qualifications and a low population limit will work. Professor Oak's face is calm, but everyone familiar with him knows that he is amiable to anyone, and the old man who is only keen on studying Pokémon is angry. He threw 5 Pokeballs straight away. Garchomp, Dragonite, Metagross, Salamence, Hydreigon. All 5 Pokémon are champions, including Sun Pokémon. There are 6 champions in total. Moreover, except for the Sun Pokémon, they are all quasi-gods of different regions. U6 go to Tokiwa City to help suppress the rioting Pokémon. Professor Oak said. 6 Pokémon Delying disappeared in the backyard of Professor Oak's laboratory. You tell Jenny to ask the trainer to take back Pokeballs from Pokémon whose level has not reached normal level. Also, let Yolongdu come over. Yes, The researcher at the side ordered to leave quickly. Professor Oak also went back to his laboratory. He wanted to investigate clearly. Where did this strange sound wave come from? Chen, who was far away on the island, naturally didn't know that such a big thing happened in Tokiwa City. He is now playing with Shalebi. The sound of the system came out, making him tremble with fright. Ding! The system upgrade is complete. Chapter 29. Changes after the system upgrade. Changes in the world's beasts. A faint smile appeared on Lu Chen's face. The system was finally upgraded successfully. He has some expectations. Will there be a function that can enhance the strength of Warcraft? Ding! The system upgrade was successful. Add task section. Congratulations to the host for gaining the power to appease. Lu Chen waited for a long time. This one? Gone? Fortunately, he was looking forward to it. Other people's system upgrades have a lot of rewards, and his own upgrade, that's it. Disappointed. Not far away, Kyogre and Guladon suddenly raised their heads, looked at Lu Chen, and were shocked. Because the terrifying aura on Lu Chen's body at this time is not as concentrated around him as it was before. Instead, some of them spread out without reservation. Sky Pillar, the ozone layer, a green dragon soars freely above the sky. Feeding on meteorite, he seems to feel something. Flipping the world, a Pokémon standing upright, like a centipede with demon-like wings on its back, raised its head. Cracks in space. Cracks in time. Two sleeping Pokémon open their eyes. In the Carlos region, a green planarian-like Pokémon emerges from a tree. At the end of the world, there is an alpaca-like Pokémon sleeping. It has been sleeping since the creation of the world, and its eyelids moved slightly. Worldwide, all the first-level beasts felt a strong force. A force that made them feel threatened. The rest of the beasts felt even more uneasy. Hiss hiss. The main base of the Rockets. Beedrill, what's wrong with you? Giovanni looked at his trump card, Pokemon Beedrill. The two were connected, and the Beedrill conveyed a sense of fear. It's okay, it's okay. This Pokemon was created by us. There's no need to be afraid. Giovanni stands in a large glass nutrition pod. Inside the nutrition cabin, there is a humanoid embryo. The embryo's facial features have been formed, and the heart is beating. Giovanni looked at the humanoid embryo inside. His eyes sparkled as if he saw a peerless treasure. Before it took shape, it already made Beedrill feel restless. Really, it really deserves to be a terrifying monster made by cloning the genes of Mew and incorporating the genes of countless Pokémon. Giovanni is excited. The Pokémon he created will definitely be the most powerful Pokémon in the world. On the island. Naturally, Lu Chen didn't know all these things. He began to study the functions of the upgraded system. Task section 1. Release a training task about magic pets every day. Completing the task will no longer reward things, but will increase the strength of magic pets. 2. The system will release other tasks. As for when it will be released, it depends on fate, and the Buddha system will be done. Lu Chen rubbed his chin and released a training task about magic pets every day. Did it become to increase the strength of magic pets? This made Lu Chen very satisfied. A bunch of weak chicken demon pets under him could finally increase their strength. Then he looked at the second one, gaining the power of comfort. Peaceful power possesses the ability to calm Pokémon down. What is this soothing power? Launch. I saw a green light attached to his right hand, which made people feel very at ease. Lu Chen was speechless. What the hell? Goldfinger has heard of it. What is going on with this green finger? Shalebi was very happy, flew over, and sat on Lu Chen's shoulder. Lu Chen gently stroked it with his green hand, and Shalebi enjoyed it very much with his eyes closed. What Lu Chen didn't know was when he used the soothing power, an invisible force, using the aura he diffused as the carrier swept across the entire world. This peaceful force blows across the sea. On the sea, Kingdra has been chasing and killing Golden. This breath blows, and Kingdra, who is about to catch up with Golden, stops. In a lake in the forest, two irritable fiery monkeys who were fighting stop their movements, and their irritable hearts gradually calm down. Wherever this power passes, it soothes the negative emotions in all Pokemon's hearts, and there is only peace and tranquility. This momentum has been passing the Viridian Forest. Viridian Forest, the runaway Pokémon army, is heading towards Tokiwa City. Those who swim by water, those who fly in the sky, those who run on the ground. Water, fire, grass, ground, rock, ghost. It's a hodgepodge. Jenny from Viridian City and Trainer formed a battle line to resist these rampant Pokémon outside Viridian City. Looking at these Pokémon army, they couldn't help turning pale. Although the ranks of these Pokémon armies are not high, they are densely packed, giving people a sense of oppression. Fortunately, they looked at the 3 people standing in front of the team, and they found a backbone. Among the 4 elites in Kanto, except for Yolongdu, everyone else is there. The strongest trainer of the new generation. Attack when they continue to approach, Lorelei said. At this time, a peaceful force passed by. For these runaway Pokémon, the scarlet in their eyes began to recede, and the violent heart began to calm down. Their footsteps stopped, they looked around blankly, and finally returned the same way. The team was very quiet. The 4 elites and others looked at each other in blank dismay. What exactly is going on? Saffron City rocket hideout. How is this going? Continue to increase the output, but bang, bang, bang. The machines in the laboratory smoked directly, and finally a small explosion occurred. The red siren lights up. Master Ariana, it's too late. The person in charge of the laboratory is humane. Not good. Lord Ariana, the people from the Oak family and Yolongdu are really rushing towards us. We have been exposed. Hateful. The Oak family is still a little afraid, especially Professor Oak. The God-making project is also in a critical period, and it is not appropriate to add extra complications. Back up the data, start the base self-destruct procedure, and we will abandon this base. A remote landmass near the Hoenn region. More than half of the entire land has sunk above the sea, and it is barren, with no trace of vegetation in sight. Garchomp, Dragon Rage, boom. There was a loud noise, rocks splashed, and a hole appeared in the ground. That's right, this is it. This used to be the mouth of the volcano. Cynthia is a bit unbelievable, the mouth of volcano. How big volcano is the ocean actually flooded volcano? The 2 flew down the volcano mouth, but disappointed. This is indeed the place where the earth beast lived, but it's not a relic. It's just a simple lair, and the original power has already passed away. Cynthia was also a little disappointed. Didn't she expect that? Shaking their heads, the 2 of them searched carefully. The place has collapsed, and the magma has cooled down. Is preparing to leave. Immediately afterwards, Cynthia caught sight of something out of the corner of her eye. A red thing. She walked over to pick it up and stared at it carefully. It's a scale, warm and moist to the touch. The scales of the god of the earth. She was a little taken aback. She didn't know why. She seemed a little familiar with the scales. As if seen somewhere. Chapter 30. The legendary Gardevoir. It has been 2 days since the Pokémon in the Viridian Forest went berserk. In the past 2 days, the Kanto Alliance was furious. According to the information provided by Professor Oak, this was actually a man-made and premeditated action. It can force Pokémon to evolve, and it can also make Pokémon go berserk and fall into madness. Contest condition. This sonic weapon is simply terrifying, and the Kanto Alliance feels a great threat. 90% of the world's ordinary Pokémon with little potential. One day, this terrifying sonic weapon will force Pokémon in the entire Kanto region to evolve and go berserk. They shudder at the sight of densely packed Magikarp evolving into Gyarados. Professor Oak was also furious and gave the novice trainers Eusangia all evolutions. His research found that the sound waves that can purify Pokémon will have extremely serious sequelae to Pokémon's body. There are hidden wounds in their bodies. The roots have already been injured, and their strength will not increase for life. In other words, these Pokémon are obsolete. This has led to a serious shortage of Eusangia this year. Professor Oak's heart is bleeding. These Eusangia have carefully selected breeders. Now all are destroyed. There will be a large part of trainers traveling this year who will not be able to get the Earl Dervish Pokémon. This caused a nameless anger to rise in Professor Oak's heart. The behind-the-scenes organization of this strange sound wave is also too mysterious, and the entire mountain has been hollowed out and used as a base by them. When the members of the Professor Oak family and Yolongdu arrived, the base had already activated its self-destruct procedure, leaving only a pile of ruins. Then the people from the Pokémon Alliance came to deal with it, when they saw the secret base that hollowed out the entire mountain. Feeling terrified in my heart, the entire mountain was hollowed out, such a large project. Alliance didn't know anything about it. These 2 days, Alliance united with the Oak family to clean up the underground world, and countless underground organizations were uprooted by the furious Alliance. But nothing was found, and the man behind this strange sound wave could not be found at all. Vermilion City. The sisters Cynthia and Diantha are playing by the sea. Originally, Diantha had already left, but because of the Pokémon riot in the Viridian Forest, she turned back to help. Later, I plan to play with Cynthia and Kanto for a few more days. The two played rough on the deserted beach. The swimsuit outlined the perfect figure of the two. Diantha was right in her clothes, but she was surprisingly amazing in her swimsuit. You said, "Can someone subdue the god of the earth?" Cynthia said to her girlfriend Diantha. Diantha was startled, and then smiled. "The Pokémon that can be crowned as a god. No normal person can subdue it. The god of the earth created the continent we live in. This kind of divine beast has the ability to destroy the world. How can human beings subdue it?" Cynthia nodded as well. Since she came back a few days ago, she has been lost in thought. The scales she picked up from the abandoned lair of the god of the earth. She remembered that the scales on one of Chen's Pokémon looked like this. She also couldn't help guessing. Could it be that the Crimson Pokémon is the god of the earth? Hearing what her friend said, Cynthia tilted her head and thought for a while, yes, even if Chen can subdue Suicune. But Suicune is just a normal beast, and the god of the earth is a mega beast that created the continent. I have lived for an untold number of long years before the continent was born, and before the appearance of human beings, the mega existed in ancient times. If you sleep casually, thousands of years have passed for human beings. How could it pay attention to a human with a lifespan of only 100 years, let alone follow it? Cynthia saw Diantha's Gardevoir looking covet, staring at her bag. The zipper of the bag was open because I needed to take something just now, and there was a small bag of things violently. It is a few tree fruits presented by Chen. You want to eat this? Gardevoir nodded. Cynthia took out the berries and handed one to Gardevoir. The remaining two are Cynthia and Diantha. Tasty. The two of them took a bite, and a burst of sweetness instantly filled their mouths. After eating, they felt that the fatigue on their bodies was swept away and they were refreshed. It was 100 times better than anything they had ever eaten. Cynthia, what kind of fruit is this? Diantha asked. They had never seen the appearance of this tree fruit. A gift from a friend. This is too delicious. Diantha is still savoring the taste just now. Sasha, at this moment, Gardevoir's body reported a terrifying confusion, and her momentum skyrocketed. The terrifying confusion radiated in all directions, and the rushing waves retreated immediately. It lasted more than half a minute. Gardevoir calmed down. Karuna stared wide-eyed. Gardevoir broke through the championship and became a legendary Pokémon. The excitement in Diantha's heart couldn't bear it all. She jumped up and said excitedly, "Gardevoir, you have broken through to the championship level." But after the excitement, the two looked at each other, wondering why Gardevoir broke through suddenly. Gardevoir's previous extremely coveted expression came to mind, and the eyes of the two suddenly widened. That tree fruit. Chapter 31. The red light of the island, extremely giant. Extreme disbelief rose in their hearts. A berry made Gardevoir, who was stuck at the champion level for an unknown period of time, evolved to the legendary level. Why is this so new? What kind of heaven-defying tree fruit is this? Gardevoir, did you break through that tree just now? Diantha asked Gardevoir. Gardevoir nodded. Get the definitive answer to this coffin. Cynthia stared at the discarded fruit core on the ground. Their eyes widened. So they just ate two that would have allowed two champion Pokémon to break through to legend? This made their minds dizzy for a while, and the whole world, I don't know how many Pokemon are stuck in the champion level. If these people knew, I and Diantha would have wasted 2 berries that would allow the champion Pokemon to evolve. Maybe he rushed over to fight himself desperately. Diantha took a deep breath. Cynthia, what the hell is going on with this tree fruit? It is completely unheard of for a tree fruit to break from a champion level to a legendary level. Cynthia didn't choose to hide her girlfriend's inquiry, but told her everything. After 10 minutes, Diantha has fallen into a sluggish contest condition and has received a huge shock. You mean this man named Chen lives in seclusion on an uninhabited island? He delivered you from the hands of the Nolder, then have a very magical potion which can restore Garchomp, who is seriously injured and hammered to death, in a second, and let Garchomp break through to the legendary level. Suicune, one of the 3 holy beasts, is also on his island? Diantha was dizzy for a while. What kind of fairy is this? Cynthia also smiled wryly. When you think that you have begun to understand Chen a little bit, you will soon find that the fog on the other party is getting more and more foggy, as if you only see his 3rd layer, and he is already in the first 1,000. Multiple layers. This kind of sky-defying tree fruit can be given away casually. Who the hell is this? Can you take me to meet you? Diantha said. Cynthia was a little hesitant and took people there without authorization, wondering if it would make Chen unhappy. But it's hard to refuse a friend's request. But Diantha is also a person who understands the general situation. She said, this kind of high-level person will live in seclusion on an uninhabited island. He must not want to be disturbed by others. I don't know if outsiders are welcome. I will wait for you outside the island. If the other party allows all right, then I'll go in. Cynthia nodded. This is the best way to deal with it. Then let's go there now. The 2 changed back into casual clothes and boarded the Garchomp. On the island. The island is huge, and the east and west parts of the island are rugged and densely covered with strange rocks. There is no greenery to be seen on the bare rocks. In the crevices of the stones, a scarlet light was shining at this time, and the red light continuously overflowed from the crevices of the stones. This is where the rock-type Pokémon lives, and it emits a red light that attracts a golem. Golem walked over. Looking at the time emerging from the cracks in the stone, curiosity flashed in his eyes. But at this moment, the red light became more and more intense, as if an energy cannon was accumulating energy. The scarlet light is dazzling. Just in the next second, boom, the red light burst out and turned into a huge crimson energy beam, soaring into the sky and entering the sky. The diameter of the beam of light is more than 20 meters, and that golem, having no time to dodge, was directly overwhelmed by the red beam of light. The Pokémon around panicked and fled here one after another. In the center of the island, at the small lake, this huge red glow naturally alarmed Chen. What is this? Chen was taken aback. The red beam of light was really terrifying. Ding! Mission generated. Investigate the source of the red beam of light. Mission reward. Unknown. Boom, 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 boom. The island trembled. The trees shook. Earthquake. When Chen was puzzled, the beam of light disappeared, and a terrifying figure the size of a hill emerged. Where the red light disappeared, a gigantic figure stood between the sky and the earth. Chen recognized this figure, Golem. But why Golem became so huge? Boom! Every time Golem took a step forward, the ground would tremble, and with one step down, pieces of old trees would be trampled down. The Pokémon on the island ran away in terror, and the direction of Golem is heading towards Chen. The priority now is not to investigate why Golem has become so huge, but to stop him. If he continues to ruin it like this, the entire island will be destroyed. With Golem's terrifying body shape, he came to Chen's side in a few steps. Gyarados, spray him. Gyarados opened his mouth and spat out, using the hydro pump. Water-type skills restrain the rock-type, and the powerful water bubbles are like drizzle in front of the Graveler who has become so huge, just like a drop of rain falling on someone's body. Without the slightest power, Chen was stunned. Could his strongest demon pet not be able to beat him? Boom! Take another step forward. Click! A stone shattered at the sound. Guladon stared, This is its bed. It likes to bask in the sun every day. Damn it, it was crushed by a foot. Feeling the ups and downs of Guladon's breath, Kyogre patted the fins, feeling secretly refreshed. It likes to see this stink fire bug deflated most. Boom! Ground trembled again. The smile on Kyogre's mouth faded away, because the golem stepped into the small lake. The small lake is its lair. Oops, it's too big. All the attacks of Gyarados don't work on it. It's like a tickle itch. How can this be fixed? If it continues to be destroyed by it like this, I am afraid that I will be forced to leave this island. If only it could grow bigger, too. Chen is worried. He has feelings for this island, and he doesn't want to move away. Aside, Kyogre and Guladon glanced at each other. Did this mean that he was allowed to make a move? Arrange. Roar. They roared all over. The crimson light on Groudon's body soared into the sky, while the blue light on Kyogre's body was intense and eye-catching. I go. Chen glared at Lear and saw that the size of the two magic pets was constantly getting bigger. In the end, it turned into two behemoths. The skyline not far from the island. Diantha and Cynthia are coming. They saw two rays of light, one red and one blue, soaring into the sky from the island. Just wondering what happened. As a result, two huge bodies, one blue and one red, appeared in the line of sight. Chapter 32. Extremely giant crystal in the middle of the island. A huge Pokémon stands, one red and one blue. The red figure looked like a dinosaur, extremely ferocious. The crimson scales were bright red, as if magma was flowing in them. As for that blue figure under the sunlight, its body is like an ocean. Diantha looks at the giant Pokémon on the island. Extreme gigantic? Isn't this the extremely gigantic transformation that can only be produced by the Galar region where Emperor Dan is located? Suspicion appeared in Diantha's eyes. But what are these two Pokémon? Why have I never seen them before? If I'm not mistaken, this is the celestic god of the earth. Cynthia murmured absent-mindedly. Diantha's eyes widened. Cynthia looks at the two Pokémon. The appearance of this red Pokémon overlapped with the fuzzy image reconstructed by Professor Oak based on the breath of the stone. Moreover, the scales she picked up in a lair abandoned by the god of the earth are exactly the same as the scales on this Pokémon. Another blue Pokémon, as large as a whale, floats in the air. Cynthia also guessed its identity. God of the Sea. In addition to being the champion of the Sinnoh region, Cynthia is also an archaeology buff who loves learning about ultra-ancient Pokémon. Sinnoh region. As long as there are newly discovered ultra-ancient ruins or legacy buildings, she will participate. Among them are ancient human buildings that worship the god of the sea. There is also the god of the earth, but the murals of the god of the earth are too distorted. The clearest image of the god of the earth so far is the fuzzy impression restored by Professor Oak based on the breath of the stone. The god of the sea is much clearer. In the murals of ancient human buildings, the image of the god of the sea is the image of a whale. The huge whale in front of him looks exactly like the god of the ocean in the ancient human murals. I'm going. How come Groudon and Kyogre are also getting bigger? Chen was a little confused. How is this going? Roar. Golem and Kyogre stared at Golem with a bad look. With Chen here, they didn't dare to kill, and skill attacks weren't suitable. Any overflow might destroy the island. They rushed up and beat Golem violently. Golem was beaten helplessly. After more than half a minute, the effect of extreme maximization disappeared. Golem returned to normal size, lying on the ground, eyes rolling. Groudon and Kyogre's statures are also minimized accordingly. Chen was still in a daze as to what was going on. Why do monsters get bigger? After getting bigger, minimize again. Ho ho! BB, Han-Hanlong flew over, and Shalebi sat on top of Han-Hanlong's head, holding a gemstone bigger than half of his body in his hand. The gemstone is dark purple in color with red streaks. Extremely giant crystal. It is composed of countless wishing stars, which can make monsters gigantic. After the world, it will randomly make the monsters around them gigantic. The monsters that are enlarged with extremely large crystals are not limited by the turn, and can be controlled by themselves to minimize the size, and the physical strength required after extremely large is x 10 times the system's probing function revealed specific information about this gem. Liu Chan suddenly realized that it was so. No wonder the Warcraft will become bigger. It turned out to be caused by this thing. Will this thing in the world randomly make the surrounding monsters bigger? Liu Chan was a little lucky. Fortunately, he followed Kyogre and Guladon randomly. It would be bad if the other monsters on the island were also gigantic. Guladon Kyogre, well done. I praised it, not to mention, after these two magic pets became huge, they were particularly bluffing and mighty. Mr. Liu Chan, someone is calling himself. Liu Chan looked back with a smile on his face. Cynthia, are you here? Didn't it scare you just now? No, I've also seen Dynamax in the Galar region. Is this thing common? It's very common in the Galar region. In special venues, most of the monsters can be gigantic. Liu Chan was also taken aback, thinking that he had discovered some treasure, so it turned out that this thing is very common. Mr. Liu Chan, this is my good friend Diantha. I brought her here without authorization. I hope you don't mind. Knowing that the legendary Shindu, the celestic god of the earth, is Lord Liu Chan, she can no longer treat Liu Chan with a normal heart. Hello, Mr. Liu Chan. Diantha also stammered. Hello, no, how can you blame me? It's good to have someone come to my remote island. Liu Chan smiled. Seeing that Liu Chan didn't blame him, the two breathed a sigh of relief. For a while, as an archaeology enthusiast, Cynthia stared at Guladon and Kyogre and couldn't help asking, Mr. Liu Chan, what are their names? In the archaeological world, the name of the celestic god of the earth and the sea has always been a mystery. No ruins have yet mentioned the names of the two mythical beasts. Oh, the red one is called Guladon, and the blue one is called Kyogre. Liu Chan said, so the god of the earth is called Guladon, and the god of the sea is called Kyogre? A look of joy flashed across Cynthia's face, and she finally knew their names. This feeling was just like when she first set off on a trip before, after all the hard work to harvest the badge of the gymnasium. That's all for today. I'm not feeling well. Today's manuscripts are all forced to type out. I don't know if it's because I stayed up too late or I've eaten a bad stomach. It's not good. I made an appointment for tomorrow's gastroenterology department, and I will go to see it tomorrow. I hope I don't have to have a colonoscopy and get blasted chapter 33. The chosen one in the end, they didn't dare to bother. With Guladon and Kyogre around, they only feel Alexander. This is the mega beast that created the continents and oceans. Cynthia also thanked Liu Chan for his vermilion fruit, which must be very precious for a champion-level Pokémon to break through to a legendary level. Until Liu Chan pointed to the crop garden not far away. He said indifferently, it's okay, there's still a lot of them there, and they should grow out in a few days. The two women fell into chaos again. As expected of a man who can be followed by the god of the earth and the god of the sea. There are more than 20 fruit trees for this unheard of and precious tree fruit. Mr. Liu Chan, does the Alliance know you are here? Diantha asked weakly. No, just the two of you know, don't tell that Alliance or I'll have to leave. Maybe you won't see me. Liu Chan said he is no novice anymore. He knows that the world is similar to the government / government organization, which is Alliance. The islands are all Alliance properties, and they have no title deeds, so they are illegally occupied. What if the Alliance finds out and kicks me out of the island? It's a small matter to be kicked out of the island. What if you lock yourself up in the name of illegal possession of land? Otherwise, they would have to spend time in the cage, and Cynthia and Diantha would not be able to see themselves. But these words, in the eyes of the two women, looked different. Mr. Liu Chan doesn't want too many people to know that he lives in seclusion here. That's right. Once the Alliance knows, there must be an endless stream of people coming to this small island every day, and Mr. Liu Chan will have to move out. If the news is leaked by the two of us, then Mr. Liu Chan will be angry, and he will not be able to see him in the future. The two women met each other and nodded. This is the biggest secret in their hearts. Then, can we come here often? Cynthia summoned up her courage and asked, Welcome, two beauties. Why don't you welcome them? It's also eye-catching. Lu Chen's words made the two girls blush. They have heard this compliment countless times since they were young, and their ears are so callous. But from what Lu Chen said, they felt a little happy, knowing that they can still come in the future. The two women cheered in their hearts, then bid farewell to Lu Chen. The two girls leave. Hours later, they came to the Professor Oak laboratory. Cynthia, Diantha, come here, there is a big discovery. As soon as he entered the door, Professor Oak couldn't wait to shout. This is a picture sent to me by my students in the Hoenn region, and there's another major discovery in the archaeological field. On the top of the display screen, there's a picture of an ancient mural. The content of the picture is a dinosaur and a huge whale fighting. The volcano erupted and the sea rose. Beside the murals are super ancient texts. This is the celestic god of the earth, the god of the sea. The archaeological world was shocked today. This super ancient text has been deciphered. I finally know the names of these two super beasts. The god of the earth is called Guladon, and the god of the sea is called Kyogre. Professor Oak spoke excitedly, not seeing the two women behind him at all, with a look of astonishment, then looked at Professor Oak, who was excited like a child, and tried his best to hold back his laughter. They have known the names of the celestic god of the earth and the god of the sea for a long time, and they have witnessed their appearance with their own eyes today. Wow, so it's called Guladon and Kyogre. Diantha pretended to know just now and asked, "Can this Pokémon be subdued?" Professor Oak was taken aback. Ordinary divine beasts, such as the three divine beasts with populations, can be subdued, and the ones you subdue are also ordinary three divine birds, not the three divine beasts with divine power. But the celestic god of the earth, the god of the sea, this kind of mega beast with the power to create the world, it is absolutely impossible to subdue it. Then no one can subdue this powerful beast. Professor Oak seemed to be recalling something. It's not absolute. I once saw an ancient document, Rayquaza, the god of soaring in the sky, once followed a human being. When I saw it, I thought it was fake, but when I was traveling more than 10 years ago, I saw it. Professor Oak feels shocked in retrospect. A human being, all the Pokémon in his hand are mythical beasts, including Latios, Latias, the patron saint of red and blue water, Darkrai, the god of nightmares. I couldn't believe it at the time. I checked the ancient documents owned by various region alliances, and finally, I found some clues. The Chosen One. The human beings chosen by the beasts are called the Chosen Ones, and the beasts will actively follow them. The origin of God's Chosen One is very mysterious, and that ancient book only records sporadic contents. They seem to have their own special mission. However, every Chosen One has the ability to destroy the world. Cynthia and Diantha glanced at each other. So Mr. Lu Chen is the Chosen One? Time flies. Soon came the second day. In the wooden house, Celebi was sleeping soundly on Lu Chen's stomach. It was still dark. The west coast of the island. Hold head high. A cheerful dragon chant resounded. The sleeping Guladon raised his eyelids. What a fart. If you give people rest, isn't it a breakthrough? And it's still the same weak chicken. West coast of the island. Han Hanlong's face is very excited. He has made a breakthrough, and his current strength is at the elite level. The sky is white with fish belly. Resoluteness flashed across Han Hanlong's face, as if he had made a decision. It came to the center of the small lake and growled at Guladon. Roar! Guladon was taken aback. It might take a day or two for this idiot to go out for a trip. Tell yourself to keep its food, keep it, and wait for it to come back to eat. Does it feel possible? Guladon waved his hand impatiently. Han Hanlong spread his wings, soared into the sky, and disappeared into the morning light. Chapter 34, Dragon Island. The silly dragon with a big secret. Early morning. Great start of the day. Lu Chen walked out with a sleepy face holding Celebi. Huh, what about the stupid one? In the past, Han Hanlong got up very early, and every time he opened the door, he could see Han Hanlong sticking out his tongue to greet him like Era. Not today. I'm not used to it. Seeds. A green monster with a green garlic growing on its back was chasing butterflies on the grass. Bulbasaur. But Lu Chen prefers to call it Garlic BD. Vine Whip reached out and greeted Lu Chen. Good morning, Garlic BD. Around the small lake, A large group of Pokémon are playing rough with each other. See Lu Chen coming out. Come on, ho ho, DN DN. The monsters roared at Lu Chen with a friendly tone in their voices. Morning, everyone. Lu Chen waved at them. Since the system was upgraded, the monsters on the island would not run away as soon as they saw him, but dared to approach him. Lu Chen guessed that it might also have something to do with his soothing power. Although I don't know what the hell is going on with his soothing power, Shalebi really likes it. Guladon raised his head and glanced at Lu Chen, who was surrounded by many Pokémon. Since the master unscrupulously burst out a small part of his aura last time. After that, the master restrained his aura, and the strength of the law around him was also hidden, just like an ordinary human being. The majestic and inviolable temperament of his body was gone. This ordinary Pokémon is naturally happy to approach its owner. Of course, this has to be when the master doesn't take the initiative or is not angry. The day before yesterday, the stinky fish broke through. Breaking through to the peak of the lower level of the first level beast, I couldn't help but stunned and accidentally broke a precious tree fruit of the owner by the lake. Lu Chen was angry. Chasing Kyogre was like a beating. Toot toot. Growl of that stinky fish is still in the aftertaste of growl, and the scream made Guladon happy, and he wished to sing a song. Been busy for a while. After finishing the breakfast, he fed the few monsters waiting to be fed, and gave the surplus to the monsters on the island. Lu Chen still did not see Han long. It's really strange. In the past, I couldn't wait for dinner. It is estimated that I don't know where to play on the island and forget the time. Come back and punish it without food. Han Long naturally didn't know that he had been punished. Its figure passed quickly in the sky of the sea. A long time passed. Thick fog formed in the sea area ahead, and mist filled the air, and the visibility was only a few meters. This mist is very strange. Even if it is fanned by a strong wind, it cannot be blown away. Dragonite slammed into mist, unsurprised, as if she knew it all along. In mist, it identified the direction and spread its wings. Another 10 minutes passed. Han Long rushed out, mist disappeared, and he saw a small island. The island is lush and green, as if it is a fairyland on Earth. On the beach of the island, there is a group of Pokémon with light blue snakes like normal playing in the water. The original form of the Kanto quasi-god Dragonite, Dratini. Han Long glanced at them. The stench actually likes water sport. It continues to fly forward. Dragonite loves water and is the darling of the sea, but Han Long is different. It hates water extremely and tried to overcome it during the period, but almost drowned itself. On the island, Dratini, Dragonair, which is extremely rare in the outside world, is here to grab a lot. Even Dragonite is abundant here. However, apart from Dratini and his family, there are no other Pokémon on the island. This island is the legendary Dragon Island. Han Long flew to a valley like a gourd mouth. There are many Dragonites sleeping soundly on the rocks. Seeing Han Long come in, they woke up one by one. The Dragonites here are more than twice the size of Han Long, and they are imposing. They squinted at Han Long and recognized it. It was the alien that was driven out. Boom! Terrible momentum erupted from these Dragonites. All the auras came together, and the clouds and the soaring in the sky were shaken to pieces. The Dragonites here are all elite grades, and there are quite a few champion grades. They stared at Han Long with unfriendly expressions. Ho ho! Heterogeneous, get out. Dragon Island doesn't welcome you. Dragon Island has no place for you. Their voices are full of expulsion. Han Long, who has always been out of tune, seems to be a different person at this time. Boom! It didn't speak. Its own aura exploded directly, and the lines of black on its back emerged along the blood vessels one by one. It flapped its wings. Whoosh! With a sudden flash, he came in front of one of the Dragonites. Thunder Punch! The other party had no time to react and was instantly punched and sent flying. The rest of the Dragonites just woke up from a dream, and with a rage, their bodies surged with energy. One of the champion Dragonites roared, flapped its wings, and the dragon claw condensed in its hands. The power is terrifying. It can break mountains and rocks, and RU Howard's Han Long fiercely. Han is not false at all, and the dragon claw is also condensed in his hands. With a flash of wings, it went directly to meet it. Boom! The two dragon claws collided, and the champion-level dragon claw was broken through like paper, and then was shot flying out. Its body flew horizontally and hit several boulders all the way before stopping. At the elite level, Hanlong's dragon claw can break the dragon claw of Yulongda champion Dragonite. Not to mention that it has now been promoted to the elite level. Feeling the power of Long Wei on Hanlong's body, the Dragonite's eyes flashed unbelievable. How is this possible? How could this alien have comprehended the law of the dragon? Boom! Boom! In the small valley inside Calabash Valley, a Dragonite flew out, followed by more than 10 Dragonites. The momentum on this Dragonite is unusually strong, not weaker than that of Suicune. What is striking is the dragon horn on its head, which is white. The aura of the dozen or so Dragonites behind them is also legendary. Seeing this Dragonite coming out, the elite-level Dragonite and the champion-level Dragonite lowered their heads one after another. This is the king of Dragon Island, the king of Dragonite. This Dragonite is staring at Hanlong. Hanlong looked at him and said, "Roar." According to the ancestors' precept, I understand the rules, so I can go in. The Dragonite leader let out a low growl and stepped out of the way. Hanlong spread his wings and flew. In a shot of Calabash Valley, there's a cave with a ferocious dragon head, and the entrance of the cave is the mouth of this giant dragon. In the dragon cave, if there is no sound, there is the sound of dragon chant. Hanlong didn't hesitate and got in. Chapter 35. Mysterious Little Tree. Growth is over. On the island, Liu Chen encountered a problem at this time. Beside the small lake, Mysterious Little Tree is blooming with light. An invisible repulsive force repelled all the surrounding Pokémon, like an invisible wall. This little tree seems to breathe normal. It was clearly daytime, but the sky of the island was dimmed. The starlight visible to the naked eye scattered to Mysterious Little Tree. The stars are rich. Soon, dense water vapor rose around the Mysterious Little Tree, and the mist of starlight filled the air. Countless stars twinkle in the mist. This contest condition has lasted for half an hour. Only in the sky of the island is the dark night coming, and the outside of the island is still red and sunny. As the starlight fog became thicker and thicker, the fog slowly spread, and eventually the entire small lake and its surrounding area of tens of meters were covered by the starlight fog. The repulsive force makes a Pokémon back again. After that, the starlight mist no longer expanded, but became more and more dense. It was thin at first, but gradually became rich later. After more than half an hour, the Mysterious Little Tree was no longer seen and was submerged in the mist of starlight. At this time, the area around the small lake is hundreds of meters, like a polar night, but the stars are twinkling. In the mist of starlight, it seems that countless stars are twinkling. It lasted about half an hour. The dense fog of starlight gathers back, and Mysterious Little Tree swallows the fog of starlight like a whale. Its green leaves, as if each leaf has become a black hole, devouring madly. Soon all the dense fog of starlight was swallowed up, and the Mysterious Little Tree seemed to undergo a qualitative change. Seeing growth against the wind, he jumped up by a section. At this moment, this Mysterious Little Tree seemed to become the center of the entire universe. Shining stars, embellished by the Milky Way. Among the green leafage of the Mysterious Little Tree, each piece of leafage seems to condense this piece of star sea. The starlight is constantly twinkling, and starlight emerges on the surface. The branches of the Mysterious Little Tree are not as plain and unadorned as before. From time to time, a little mist of starlight will come out, which looks very magical. An invisible mist brushed past and finally enveloped the entire island. All Pokémon feel happy physically and mentally, and their hearts have been greatly sublimated. Even Guladon and Kyogre were a little surprised. They found that the speed of their comprehension of the law has accelerated. This is true even for Tier 1 gods, let alone other Pokémon. Some Pokémon even evolved directly. All in all, Pokemon across the island benefited from this wave. And as long as this tree is there, it will subtly change the Pokemon on the entire island Alola region, which is very far from Kanto. In a mysterious space that is difficult for ordinary people to touch, where the stars are lingering, a Pokemon opened its eyes, and there seem to be stars in the eyes. This Pokemon resembles a bat, but it is much more sacred than a bat. It seemed to feel something, and the stars fluctuated around it, spreading its wings. It seems that a starry sky is condensed on its wings, and the dual wing beat is inlaid with golden arcs of the moon. As soon as it flapped its wings, it came to the outside world. Every time it flapped its wings, the soaring in the sky above its head would instantly dim. It seems to be attracted by something normal. On the island, Chen is looking at this mysterious little tree. This is too amazing and beautiful. 15 days have passed, and the mysterious little tree has finished growing. With a thought, specific information appeared in front of his eyes. Star Moon God Tree. There is only one tree in the universe, which absorbs the power of moonlight and possesses mysterious and unpredictable abilities. The specific effect is for the host to explore by himself. There is still a week until the fruit is ripe. I have to explore by myself again. Garbage system. However, there's only one tree in the universe, and it is still a divine tree. Chen touched his chin as if he was awesome. Has this broken system finally given me something awesome? I don't know what fruit it will bear. Dragon Island. Dragon's Cave. Boom! Is the dragon's power splashing inside, and the terrible sound of dragon chant came from inside. On the surrounding rocks, a group of Dragonite is waiting. Several hours passed. It gradually became quiet inside. Han Long came out, and his appearance had become completely different at this time. On its forehead, there's a red-black pattern, like a hooked jade. On the wings, the black pattern appears, and the entire wing is covered by the black pattern. Wherever it stands, the whole person is like a devil. The surrounding Dragonite team has some changes. Ho-ho, how far have you passed down? The leader of Dragonite stared at Dragonite. Hey, since you have gained something in it, then I am the master and allow you to come back to live in Dragon Island. You have also traveled outside, and you also know that Dragon Island is the most suitable environment for our species. Dragon Island is transformed from the bones of our ancestors. Here, our cultivation speed is dozens of times faster than outside. Holy place. A humanized disdain flashed in Han Long's eyes. This one, not even 1/10,000th of the owner's small island, is worthy of a holy place? Han Long flapped his wings and floated in the air. Boom! Terrible dragon power splashed from its body, and accompanied by a breath of black, it rushed straight into the sky, and the dragon beard on its forehead was dancing violently. Then it flapped its wings fiercely, and the strong wind pressure compressed the air, directly forming an air cannon, which bombarded the sea, causing the entire sea to tremble and set off huge waves. Just like the rocket propeller normal, the hurricane kicked off, and Han Long disappeared directly in the Dragon Island. After it's gone, ka. There was a crackling sound from Dragon's Cave. Finally, in the shocked eyes of all the Dragonites, their Dragonite inheritance land collapsed directly. Roar! Dragonite's voice was trembling. Ho! It got all the inheritance. Chapter 36. Leaving the island for the first time, entering the city. All the Dragonites looked at the place of inheritance blankly. This is the heart of Dragon Island. As long as there is a place of inheritance, Dragonites can quickly become stronger. The hardness of the land of inheritance is difficult to destroy even by the attack of a second-level beast. It was destroyed at this time. Then there is only one possibility: the inheritance of the dragon has been obtained by people. But the place of inheritance is a trial to choose the right inheritor. When the land of inheritance collapses, it means that the inheritance has been obtained by others. And it is self-evident that the people who get the inheritance are not beasts. Rumor: if any Dragonite gets the inheritance, then it will become the king of Dragonite, leading Dragonite to reproduce the peak style of the super ancient period. But the Dragonite was expelled by them because of some things. That Dragonite, it is an alien. It was not born on the island. It's resurrection from a stone, or rather, resurrected from a giant piece of amber. Also, this Dragonite is afraid of seawater. The real Dragonite loves seawater and is the darling of the sea. It shows that the blood of this Dragonite is not pure. Dragon Island, only the purest Dragonite. Also because of this, it was expelled from Dragon Island. However, as long as you understand the law of the dragon, you can also enter the place of inheritance to accept the trial, so the Dragonite on the island did not stop it. It was never expected that this expelled alien would actually obtain a complete inheritance. With their own hands, drive away your own king, but these silly dragons are unknown. It is flying at full strength, eager to eat the delicious food made by its master. In the other end, the Xingyue God Tree had already calmed down, and it breathed out a mist of starlight, which was very strange. But Lu Chun was in trouble. His clothes were torn, and because of the repulsive force of the Xingyue sacred tree, when he stepped back, he was accidentally caught by a branch and rotted. That's all he has. In the past, I used to take a bath, let Guladon add scald, go to the handmade bathtub to take a bath, and then let Han Hanlong help while he clothes and spread them on Guladon's body after washing, and let Guladon dry them. Now, there's a big hole in it. There is no needle and thread to make up for this. Lu Chun was distressed. If I had known Cynthia was coming, I would have asked her to help bring a few sets of clothes. I don't know what to do now. However, from Cynthia and the others, it seems that the land here is not very far away. What's your name? It seems to be the Kanto region. It's been nearly 4 months since I came to this world, and I haven't been exposed to the outside world yet. Before, it was fear that there would be no order in this world. But now we know that this world is a combination of Western fantasy world and modern technology. It's not the kind of Western fantasy world in the novel where people kill people if they don't agree with each other. The strong are respected, and there is no system at all, so he feels more at ease. That being the case, go out for a walk today and have a look at the elegance of this world. Lu Chen's temperament is not a procrastination person. He will act when he decides. Guladon, Kyogre, you are looking after your home today. He continued, Shalebi, let's go out to play today. Riding on the head of Gyarados, Lu Chun left his island for the first time, accompanied by Gyarados, Scyther, and Shalebi. Feel the endless sea. From time to time, monsters in the water crossed the sea surface, and he also saw a huge whale floating out of the sea, spraying a jet of water. Whalemare. Lu Chun couldn't help but sigh. This world is really wonderful. I thought that the time at sea would be very boring, but the time passed very quickly while admiring the water monsters that did not exist on the island. Came back to God again. The outline of the land has appeared in his eyes. Minutes later, Gyarados, you wait here for me. Lu Chun said, Gyarados is too big, so it is estimated that he will not be allowed to enter the city, and he does not have a space ball to store it. Shalebi got under his clothes, his cute little head poking out of the neckline. He took Scyther and walked towards the land. On the way, I soon saw a figure. All kinds of people soaring in the sky. You can even see airships and helicopters flying by. In the field of vision, there are tall buildings and reinforced concrete. It looks like a modern city. Suddenly, Lu Chun thought that he was still in the original world, still on the earth. Of course, the premise is to ignore the words of a magic pet beside each of them. Walking in the direction of tall buildings, Lu Chun was also paying attention to the conversations of the people around him. It's nothing more than whoever tamed a Pokémon. Who gets what badge? Which celebrity? There will be a concert tomorrow, where rare Pokémon appear. Lu Chun also probably knows that Warcraft is what they call Pokémon. Also, this modern urban background. The title of Warcraft is weird, like the title in the Middle Ages. It would be more appropriate to call it Pokémon. Soon, enter the city. There are several big characters on the huge city gate. Cerulean City. The name of the city is Cerulean City. Walked in. It was crowded and lively. The street is more than 10 meters wide, and there are street stalls on both sides, and there are all kinds of strange products, which Lu Chun has never seen before. Keep going, there's shops on both sides. I glanced at the merchandise window, and this is it, selling clothes. Just about to step in. Lu Chun suddenly found a big problem. I took a laxative to clear my abdomen last night, and I had a colonoscopy this morning. It was painless, and I took an anesthetic. It's still coming back. Chapter 37. No Rules Street Match. Standing at the door of the clothing store, Lu Chen suddenly remembered a very important thing. He has no money. After nearly 4 months of self-sufficiency on the island, he had forgotten about asking for money to buy things. You can't go in and try on clothes, just run away after you put them on, right? Scratching his head, he was wondering what to do. A voice came from the side. Boss, how much is the Firestone? The shop next to it is a shop selling stones. Lu Chen thought it was a shop that mainly sells stone products such as stone carvings. At this time, there was a young man standing at the door, and a gray Pokémon with a fluffy tail stood at his feet like a puppy. He couldn't help listening to the conversation between the two curiously. This is a medium to high purity Firestone, and it costs 10,000 yuan. The owner of the stone shop said. Lu Chen was dumbfounded. 10,000 yuan? A broken rock? Is the money in this world so worthless? Vietnam dong? It's so expensive. The young man gritted his teeth. But my EV's strength is enough. As long as it evolves, it will be able to get the ranking in the irregular street competition, at least the 10th place. The young man paid the money and took a stone from the boss. Then, he put the stone on his Pokemon's head. In an instant, white light burst out from Pokemon's body. The light of evolution. After a long while, the light faded. The Pokemon became bigger, with fiery red skin, a big fluffy tail, and creamy yellow hair on its body. In the system's probing function, its name has also changed from EV to Fire Pokemon. Lu Chen opened his mouth. What surprised him wasn't that the other Pokemon had evolved, but that stone, that saffron-colored core is red stone, the fire stone in their eyes. Lu Chen remembers, on his own island, there are many. After looking at the shop selling stones next to him, Lu Chen hesitated for a moment and walked in. The name of the store is Evolution House. Hello, guest. What would you like to order? Lu Chen pointed to a stone on the glass cabinet. How much is this stone? Water stone. This water stone is of medium purity, 8,000 yuan. Here is a high purity one, 20,000 yuan, which can make your Pokemon stronger. The boss pointed to the display cabinet behind him, where there was a stone of the same cyanwood, but without any variegated color. It was a hole. What about this one? Thunderstone, relatively rare, low purity, 7,000 yuan. Then this. Soul Rock. Brother, you asked so many evolution stones. Pokemon should also be EV. I personally recommend choosing Thunderstone. Cerulean City is the capital of water Pokemon. You should also be aiming at the annual street competition without rules. The trainer just now was a bit stupid. He chose to evolve into a Flareon in Cerulean City. Isn't that looking for abuse? After asking around, Lu Chen said, Boss, let me think about it. By the way, boss, are the clothes in the store next door expensive? I want to buy a pair of ordinary clothes. How much is it? Lu Chen asked. The one next to it is opened by Xiaohong. It's just like the old man. The ordinary set is only about 300 to 500, and the slightly better one is more than 1,000. Okay, then I'll think about which stone to buy. After Lu Chen thanked him, he walked out of the House of Evolution in a daze. A set of clothes costs about 300 yuan, and the purchasing power is the same as that of my own country in the previous life. The money here is not in Vietnamese dong. Namely, those quirky stones are really that expensive. But those evolutionary stones that start at 10,000 yuan, there are a bunch of them on his island, several such stone mines. The store is not full of stones. There are several islands that have evolutionary stones that are not displayed in the store. What's even more frightening is that the evolutionary stones on his own island crush the other party's so-called high-purity evolutionary stones in terms of purity. He used those stones to decorate the flower beds in his yard. Lu Chen was a little dizzy. How valuable is it to dig a handful of stones on your own island? Why don't you go back and get some to sell? As soon as Lu Chen thought of this thought, he killed it. It was too far away. Think of a way first, and then go back if it really doesn't work. Just now, the boss and a young man who bought the evolution stone seemed to have mentioned the no-rule street competition. He identified the direction. The young man seemed to be going this way just now. Walk forward for a few minutes. Soon, there was a poster on the giant screen in the building next to it. No rules street competition. Non-traditional 1v1. Adopt 3v3 confrontation. Without any rules. No field restrictions. If one side completely falls down, it will lose, otherwise it will win. First place, 100W bonus, 1 high-quality Pokémon. Second place, 500,000 bonus, a set of evolution stones. Third place, 30W bonus. Fourth place, 20W bonus. Fifth to 8th, 10W bonus. 8th to 15th place, 30,000 prize money. Enrollment is in full swing. There's still 102 hours before the deadline for registration. Look at the specific information on the screen. Chen suddenly realized that it was so. He rubbed his chin and glanced at Scyther. My own Scyther is also pretty strong, so it should work, right? At worst, call Gyarados over again. Don't ask too much. A 15th place is enough. Chen decided to give it a try, and it was not a loss anyway. There are signposts on the street. Soon came to a huge open field. There are crowds of people here, full of enthusiasm, and everyone is gearing up. Chen queued up to sign up. This is your race number. Received a sign from the staff. 9527. Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he didn't need to register something similar to his identity certificate. Otherwise, he, a time traveler, wouldn't be able to get it out at all. These 3 Pokeballs are the organizer's Pokeballs. In case you are not using your own Pokemon, you must replace them with the organizer's Pokeballs. The staff handed Chen 3 more cyan color Pokeballs. Chen took it, scratching his head, and this kind of good thing, this kind of space ball called Pokeball, doesn't seem to be very precious. But it's also a good thing. Scyther doesn't have to fight alone. Sign up. Chen went to the beach to collect Gyarados into the Pokeball. Back to the arena where the no-rules street competition was held. There's still more than 40 minutes until the start of the game. Chapter 38. The game begins as clusters of fireworks lift off into the sky. Accompanied by the cries of mountains and tsunamis, the annual street competition without rules begins. On the high stage of the venue, host came to the stage, made an excited opening speech, and directly announced the start of the game without lengthy chatter. Pushed the scope of the scene to a small climax. There are also auditoriums around, and the entire venue is huge, as big as 8 or 9 football fields. There were also whispers from the side. Champion candidate 1:1000. Who to buy? I'm sure Baker. I know Baker. He's a well-known trainer. Although he participated in the Indigo Plateau Conference last year, don't forget that you must collect 8 badges to participate in the Indigo Plateau Conference. Zero is awesome too. His Blastoise is already elite. Chen watched. Sure enough, no matter which world it is in, there are people who have odds. Chen's grade is 9,527. After a rough estimate, it is estimated that more than 10,000 people signed up for the competition. Chen was also a little puzzled. According to the schedule, it was actually one day, and the whole game ended in one day. How does a day end with so many people? Soon, his doubts were answered. Words appeared on the huge screen in the venue. Contestants number 150, please go number 1 venue. Invite contestants number 51, 100 to field number 2. Players numbered 401, 500, please go to field 10, please. Invite contestants number 9, 01, 1000 to field no. 20. Competition rules. 50 to 10. No rules. The competition time limit for the preliminary round is 30 minutes, and only 1 Pokemon is used. After 30 minutes, the Pokemon standing on the field will advance automatically. If there are more than 10 Pokemon, there will be extra time. There are actually 50 people in 1 competition field, and 20 competition fields start at the same time. No wonder one day can end the schedule. Soon, the person whose number was called came to the corresponding arena. Chen was curious and came to the number 2 arena closest to him. The 20 arenas are cordoned off, and you can only enter by showing your registration number. When you sign up, the organizer will take a photo for you. There's also your own face on the number plate, so you can't impersonate yourself. 50 trainers stand on a field comparable to a football field, without any congestion. There are high-definition cameras on the field and a referee. Wait until all competitors are ready. The referee raised a flag in his hand, then swung it down violently. Game start. In an instant, White light shone on the field. The 50 contestants released their own Pokémon, which can swim in the water, fly in the sky, run on the ground, and have various attributes. Sandshrew, use Dig. Pidgeotto, fly a little higher. Metapod, use Harden. Some people have used the dog skill to the end. Some are also very confident in their own strength. Skarmory, Steel Wing, occupy the soaring in the sky, and shoot down everything flying in the sky. Abamonsta, use Funks. Golbat, Sonic Attack. Onyx, we also use burrowing to clean up all the rats in the ground. All of a sudden, various skills of solation were flying around the field. Rumble, the ground trembled. The scene was extremely hot, and 50 Pokémon fell into a melee. The weaker was eliminated in one round. His eyes rolled in circles. He lost consciousness, and his Pokeball was taken back by his own trainer. Boom! The ground is trembling. Onyx is digging into the ground, constantly looking for the Pokémon that uses the drilling hole to hide underground. On Soaring in the Sky, Skarmory dominates Soaring in the Sky, beating the likes of Pidgeotto, Butterfree, and Spearow. The game ended sooner than expected. Powerful Pokémon don't fight each other, but seek out weaker Pokémon. With a final scream, a Rattata was entangled by the arbor and passed out. The referee raised a red flag in his hand and announced the end of the game. Skarmory, Onyx Arbor, and Sandshrew, who was in the corner and was not noticed by Onyx, also advanced. The Sandshrew trainer, who had escaped a catastrophe, was so excited that he was promoted. Onyx's trainer snorted coldly. You're lucky. The game went on in an orderly manner. The preliminary round is a selection match, where cannon fodder is screened, and most of the eliminated are cannon fodder. Every game has strong players. Wow, this is too fierce. One person picked the entire field. Quasi-God Pokémon awesome. There was an exclamation from the scene. It turned out that trainer used his own Pokémon to eliminate all 49 people and became the only player in this field to advance. This player's Pokémon is a floating stone Orber Golem. Chen also knows the name, Metagross through the detection function. On the other side, there was also an exclamation. A huge explosion sounded, and more than a dozen Pokémon lost consciousness with one move. This person's Pokémon was a pterosaur-like Pokémon. Aerodactyl. Exclamations came from time to time throughout the huge venue. In addition to cannon fodder, there is no shortage of powerful trainers. Time flies. The game is going on in an orderly manner. Soon, contestants number 95, 01, 95, 50 are invited to participate in the number 15 competition field. Chen stretched himself and finally got to himself. Let's go. Scyther came to the number 15 arena, checked the competition plate for the staff, and Chen entered the arena. This experience is a bit novel. I don't know what kind of rival I will encounter. Third chapter 39. Chen goes out to fight, instantly kills all of them, and the audience is shocked. The contestants entered the arena one after another. In no time, it will be ready. Hey, brother, how about our cooperation later? Beside him, a man with hair tied back and squinting eyes said, Your Pokémon is Scyther, right? This Pokémon is pretty strong. Join us. Chen wondered, Can you still form a team? He narrowed his eyes and smiled. Of course, otherwise. How can it be called no rules? Plus you, and we happen to be 10 people. How about the 10 places we are in charge of this arena? Chen shook his head. No need. TCH, then you just wait for this elimination. Then I will find someone else to join the team, and then don't regret it. He squinted his eyes and said something, walked away, and said to Chen's left, Brother, what do you say you won't be as calm as him in assessing the situation, right? The person on the left of Chen has black hair and carries a bag on his back, giving off a cold feeling. He squinted his eyes and said, The incompetent will choose to live in groups. The strong don't need to form cliques. Only the weak know that they are cannon fodder, so they will pull other cannon fodder to form a united front. You, squinted eyes with an ugly expression. Very well. I hope you two don't die so ugly. Chen didn't take this episode to heart either. He was just here to experience it. If he wins, it is best to get a bonus. If he loses, he will go home and sell the evolutionary stones tomorrow. Everyone is ready. The referee's chess piece is swung down, and the game officially begins. Go, Scyther. Scyther flew in. There was a flash of white light, and the rest released their Pokémon. Torkoal, Flamethrower. A pillar of fire shot toward Scyther. Scyther ducked away, then surrounded by 10 Pokémon. Check out the names of these Pokémon. Torkoal, Golem, Spearow, Fire, Monkey not far away. The squinting eyes showed a shy smile. Scyther of the bug type, plus flying type. Sorry, my Torkoal is a fire type, which just restrains your Scyther. At the same time, the rock type also restrains you. We also have a few rock type here. This is what happens when you offend me. Get ready to be the first one out. Golem, Rock Tomb. Spearow, block its sky, don't let it take off. They blocked all access to Scyther. Torkoal, big characters explode. Torkoal opened his mouth and spit out billowing blue smoke from the tortoise shell. Then the flames condensed, forming a flame character big and blasted towards Scyther. Scyther, you fight on your own. Chen also didn't know about Scyther's skills. Scyther's eyes suddenly sharpened. The owner has given him new life and a new home, and he loves what he has now. He is also grateful for everything given by the master. For the master, it can dedicate its life. No one is allowed to slander and insult the master. Looking at the bombarding big characters, its scythe glowed sharply, and then its figure flashed and turned into a white light. This is quick attack. The big character explosion was wiped out directly. It turned into a white light, and its figure was scurrying between the gaps of the 10 Pokémon. When Scyther's figure reappeared, it was behind these Pokémon. It's like sitting down. Bang, bang, bang. The 10 Pokémon all fell to the ground, their eyes circling. Squinting and squinting, everyone's eyes widened. In an instant, 10 of their Pokémon were instantly wiped out. They looked at Chen in horror, with fear flashing in their eyes. Who is this trainer? They didn't even dare to say harsh words, for fear of being hated by Chen. They put away the Pokémon and scrambled to escape. The little brother on Chen's left also had a flash of surprise in his eyes. FK, that person Scyther is so strong. Don't fight. Let's unite first, otherwise, like the previous few games, one person will pick the entire arena. Seeing Chen's Scyther so fierce, the rest of the contestants joined forces. If someone picks all of them at once, then there will only be one place to advance. More than 30 Pokémon How Tangdang came to surround Scyther. Scyther looked, a bunch of Pokémon that weren't even elite. It kicked and disappeared in an instant. Agility. Swish, 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 swish. A white light appears next to each Pokémon. Time seemed to stand still. A gust of wind blows. Plop. 1. Nidoking rolled his eyelids and fell to the ground. It's like knocking down dominoes. Plop, plop, plop. One after another they fell to the ground. One picked more than 30 Pokémon. The final result. In seconds. In addition to Scyther, there's only one Lapras in the audience. This Lapras trainer is the Pokémon of the little brother on the left of Chen. When Scyther was surrounded by 10 Pokémon just now, it saw Lapras trainer and asked Lapras to help him. So Scyther didn't do anything to it. Lapras also became the only one still standing on the court. Lapras trainer recovered from his astonishment and naturally knew why Scyther didn't do anything to Lapras. Unexpectedly, a small kindness made him advance easily. He smiled wryly in his heart, thinking that with his Lapras he could get the top 5 rankings. There are too many strong players today. Damn it, it's showing up again, and it's going to challenge the audience. It's awesome. How come there are so many talented people in today's no-rules competition? With this strength, if his main Pokémon is this powerful, even the Indigo Plateau Conference will be able to get a good ranking. The audience outside the stadium was in an uproar. Cerulean City is the place where dreams start. The Rock Gym in Nibby City and the Water Gym in Cerulean City are the weakest of all gyms. The trainer who just started as normal will choose to challenge these 2 gyms. The trainers here are generally not strong. The street competition without rules is held by Cerulean City, and the participating trainers are generally of the same level, and the gap will not be too big. But this year, there have been several fierce players who can challenge the entire arena. The audience is excited. Today's final was pretty good. What will happen when these fierce people meet together? Excited. There are many dark horses this year. Not far away. Oh, do you feel the breath of the same level? A girl with a bucket hat covering half her face eats a lollipop. // next to her is a yellow Pokémon holding a spoon. Alakazam nodded. Stephanie smiled, showing her crystal lips. Interesting, are all the elites here to participate? It seems that I can have a good time. Fourth more, Chapter 40. Advance all the way, Battle of Elite Mountain. First update, Chen has also become a dark horse. Naturally, there's also his peripheral betting board. The few dark horses that came out, as well as the popular players before the game, all combined to become the favorites to win the championship. It has also become a popular gambling game. Chen didn't expect either. My own Scyther is really good, and I can kill so many Pokemon in one hit. When he saw it just now, let alone the audience next to him, he was shocked by himself. He didn't know that Scyther was so strong. Then I was so happy that I picked up the treasure by myself. Nano Duo is really sick. Such a strong Pokemon is actually used as a slave. But my own Gyarados is better, and my own Gyarados defeated Scyther at that time. And Gyarados had hanged and hammered all 5 of Nolder's Pokemon before. Soon, the preliminaries are over. More than 10,000 contestants, 200 of them finally advanced. Exactly 200 people. Originally, according to the promotion rules, the final number of promotions was more than this number. But I couldn't resist the ruthless people who appeared in the audience for a few seconds, so the number of people was a little less than expected. Some people are happy and some are sad. Someone left the arena dejectedly and acted as a spectator outside. There are also people who look excited and have a chance to win. The main board cleaned up the venue and moved on to the next game soon. Rules of the game: 10 players per game, 30-minute time trial, 10 into 1 competition system. Each trainer plays 2 Pokemon at the same time. Before the time expires, as long as there is 1 or 2 Pokemon, same trainer, on the field, the game is over. If the countdown ends and there are 3 Pokemon on the field and 2 of them are owned by a trainer, the trainer with the larger number on the field wins. If the countdown ends and there are multiple Pokemon on the field and no trainer has 2 Pokemon on the field, an overtime match will take place. The competition system is cruel. 10 people can only advance to 1, and 200 people can only advance to 20 people. The organizer did not procrastinate and acted vigorously. Game start. Divide into 2 batches, 1 batch of 10 games. Chen happened to be in the first batch, and the venue was the 5th. Because the number of contestants has decreased, the focus of the audience has also increased. Soon, came to the arena. The referee waved the flag in his hand. Game start. Chen throws 2 Pokeballs. Roar! Gyarados and Scyther appear at the same time. Such a powerful Gyarados. This Gyarados is so big. It's 2 times bigger than normal Gyarados. Gyarados' appearance wowed the audience. Compared with the petite Scyther, Gyarados' ferocious appearance and huge body have more impact, and it gives people a very powerful feeling at first glance. Watching Gyarados, the 9 contestants also felt the pressure. They threw out their own Pokemon. Instantly, the scuffle started, and as a Dark Horse player, Chen was targeted again. Ray Pokemon with Thunderbolt, Venusaur with Razor Leaf. Electric System, Grass System. Attributes that are extremely restrained to Gyarados. If there's a Blood Bar, the skills of these 2 attributes can cause tons of output to Water Pokemon. White light condensed in front of Gyarados' mouth, and energy surged. A white light beam bombarded out. Skill attacks collided together. There is no doubt that Gyarados won a big victory, which can be said to be crushed. After such a long time on the island, Gyarados is already a quasi-elite level. These Pokemon are generally only at the normal level, and the stronger ones have just entered the elite level. And how is rival of Gyarados? The destructive Death Light bombarded Lay, Pokemon, and Venusaur. Bang! Accompanied by a loud noise, gravel splashed, explosion occurred, smoke and dust filled the air, and a large crater was directly blasted out of the ground. 2 Pokemon have lost consciousness in the pit. Great opportunity. Use the destructive Death Light. It will have a stiff period. Vileplume. Use Leech Seed on Gyarados. Hitmonchan Megaton Punch. Someone saw this and launched an attack on Gyarados. Roar! Gyarados roared. The tail was covered with water, and Aqua Tail was launched. Boom! There was a pop of air. Hitmonchan flew out at a faster speed than when he came, and the figure became blurred like a broken sandbag. Boom! The ground trembled, as if being swatted by a fly. It slammed into the ground hard, creating a hole, tilted its head, and fainted immediately. And want to use Leech Seed's Vile Plume on Gyarados. Scyther's figure came ghostly behind it. Thorn, screaming all over, killing in one hit. The nearby trainers and spectators were horrified. Why doesn't his Gyarados have a freeze period after using the destructive Death Ray? The powerful attack of destroying the Death Light will have a period of stiffness after using it, and it will be unable to move for a few seconds. This is me from Breeder. I heard that the powerful trainer can completely eliminate this after effect through training Pokémon. That's too scary. Can you destroy the Death Light with unlimited use? The next battle will be one-sided. Gyarados and Scyther didn't even count as a warm-up, let alone an all-out shot, and they knocked everyone down. Under the announcement of the referee, Chen also successfully advanced. There were bursts of exclamation from the venue next to it. This Alakazam is so scary. A confusion instantly killed the audience. This girl looks gentle, but is Pokemon so scary? You don't have 2 Pokemon, but only 1 Alakazam, and you killed 39 Pokemon in seconds. Chen looked over and saw a Stephanie, wearing a casual skirt and a fisherman hat on her head, covering most of her face. She steps out, followed by a yellow Pokemon holding a spoon. Chen detected the name Alakazam. Kill 39 Pokemon in one hit. It's really scary. The game will be over soon. Top 20 were born. The next step is to advance from 2010. Lottery. Go to war. Also 2v2. The ending was no surprise. Chen was the winner. 10 and a 5. The opposing Pokemon are Magmar and Baijiao. Attribute was restrained by Chen. There is no doubt that it is easy to crush again. On the other hand, Stephanie with Alakazam has also advanced all the way. So far, no one has been able to go through 2 rounds in her hands. Even Trainer, who also picked the whole game in the preliminary round, only survived 5 rounds. Champion's Choice. The voices of Chen and this Stephanie are getting louder and louder. 5-3, 2-2 battles. One bye is drawn according to the lottery, and the bye is automatically promoted to the top 3. Very lucky. Chen unexpectedly got a bye, and he didn't have to fight this round. 5 in a 3-game start, Stephanie hit again. The audience was so shocked that they couldn't help themselves. What the hell is going on with Stephanie? All the while, it's Alakazam with 1 Pokemon in the fight, and then it's over pretty quickly. Finally, there are 3 people left on the field. The Battle of Elite Mountain begins. There are also the 2 trainers who crush the audience in an invincible manner all the way. Chen and the mysterious Stephanie finally collided together. Countless people are curious. Which of these 2 will win the championship? Chapter 41. The final begins. Rival of the same level. Second update, this final is different from a regular competition like the quartz competition. The final of the regular competition is 1v1, with 2 trainers competing for the championship. The final of the match without rules is 1v1v1. Trio Final. The champion, runner-up, and 3rd place will be directly awarded. Increased variables, but also more tactics and strategies. The 3 pillars stand together, forming a delicate balance. Once any party fights with the other party, it will be taken advantage of by the 3rd party. The rule of the final is that each player has 3 Pokemon. The choice of Pokemon is also very particular, not to mention restraining the other 2, at least not being restrained by the hostile 2. The name of the trainer who entered the final with Chen and the mysterious Stephanie is Built. The top 32 contestants in the last quartz competition. The pressure on Built is also quite high. The 2 dark horses are very fierce. A Gyarados and Scyther tyrannize the audience. 1 by 1 Alakazam pushes everything flat. However, he is just under a lot of pressure. It is true, he is the top 32 player in the quartz contest. The venue is cleared. Players enter. A large group of spectators gathered around, densely packed. The three of Lu Chun stood outside the field, forming a triangle. The woman in the peaked cap looked at Lu Chun and smiled, and murmured in a voice that she could only hear, "I didn't expect to come out, and there will be unexpected gains." Host comes on stage. In a passionate voice, the start of the final was announced. The roar of mountains and tsunami came from the audience around. The game officially begins. 3 players. Please choose 3 Pokémon to play. The referee said. Built throws 3 Pokeballs. Bang, bang, bang. 3 white lights flashed. Sceptile, Charmander, Blastoise. Oh, Built is worthy of being the top 32 in the quartz contest. The Pokémon in this battle are very particular: grass, fire, water, 3 types. That's right, among the 3 conventional attributes, it is very likely that there will be an attribute that can restrain the opponent. No matter how bad it is, it will not be restrained by the opponent. This Pokémon was chosen strategically. Indeed, grass, fire, water. It is the attribute of each region Usangia. Once these 3 attributes are released, at least he can stabilize himself from being restrained by the opponent. Even if one of the attributes is restrained, he still has the attribute to counter the opponent. Lu Chun threw his hand away. Bang, bang. 2 white lights flashed, and Scyther and Gyarados appeared. Contestant 95-27. The rule of the final is 3v3. I only have 2. Lu Chun lowered his head and glanced at Shalebi, who was lying on his neckline. This little guy is not considered to be a fighter. With such an Arnold, it is too inhuman to let him fight. He said to the referee, "I remember that there is no rigid requirement that there must be 3. The referee nodded. Since it is a competition without rules, there are indeed no hard and fast rules. The referee looked at the mysterious girl. Contestant 888, please choose the Pokemon you want to play. Bang, bang. Also 2 white lights. Alakazam, Espion. The referee was taken aback, just about to say something. I only have 2 Pokemon, too. The referee was helpless. Are all fierce people this year so capricious? Seeing that the 2 favorites to win only 2 Pokemon, there was an uproar at the scene. Isn't it? 3v3, only 2 Pokemon. That's over. Built is stable. Not necessarily. Then Stephanie's Alakazam is very strong, and 9,527's Gyarados and Scyther are also very strong. You're thinking farts. Stephanie's Pokemon are all single attribute. The Super Pokemon is restrained by Bug-type Scyther. Scyther is restrained by Built's Fire element, and Gyarados is restrained by Sceptile. Indeed, Built has experience in major competitions, and he has already been invincible in the regular 3 series of Grass, Water, and Fire. The protagonist of their discussion, Built, also fell into ecstasy. There are only 2 of them, and they all have Pokemon that counter each other. Steady. For a moment, Built was full of confidence. Game start. The referee slammed down the chess piece in his hand. Did you feel it? Scyther called out to Gyarados. Ho ho. Of course, Gyarados growled. Scyther looked at Pokemon Sun and Alakazam on the opposite side with a solemn face, feeling a vague sense of threat. The blood in his body is agitated. The breath of the same level. This Sun Pokemon and Alakazam are elite level like myself. As for, he glanced at Built's Grass, Water, and Fire Pokemon. 3 weak chickens, only elite. Cha-cha, we are not allowed to lose. Scyther does not allow herself to lose, because if she loses, she will shame her master. Wow, I know. Gyarados is also full of fighting spirit. If he loses, the Kyogre boss will know that he has lost face to the water Pokemon, and he must have no good fruit to eat, and also lost to the same rank. So this battle can only be won, not defeated. The momentum is dignified. Pokemon and Alakazam on the opposite side of the sun also felt the fighting spirit of the 2. Their eyes met, and there seemed to be ember in the void. The 3 were in a stalemate, and no one dared to make a move. Since you dare not do anything, let me break the balance. Sceptile, quick attack. Built Sceptile kicked and turned into a green phantom. Leaf Blade. The leaves protruding from Sceptile's elbows grew longer and sharper, cutting through the air and slashing at Gyarados. Scyther glanced at Sceptile. His eyes flickered coldly. This battle must be won, The two sides are close in strength, and any external force may have a huge impact. So let's solve this first. The number of words is locked. Just came out. The next chapter will be posted in 2 minutes. I will look for typos. Chapter 42. The Battle of the Elite. Audience with numbing scalps. Third update, looking at the Sceptile who was attacking without knowing his life or death. Scyther swung his massive scythe. Air slash. Hum. A half-moon-shaped slash was formed in an instant, cutting through the air. Wherever it passed, the weeds on the ground were chopped off by the sharp edge. The audience on both sides can even feel the tingling on their cheeks. Air slash was so fast that Sceptile didn't even have time to react. Boom! A growl sounded. The leaf blade at the elbow was directly broken, and the body flew upside down, and the speed of the upside-down flight made the figure blurred. Finally, with a bang, it flew out of the venue and slammed into the giant screen. The screen shattered, cracks spread like a spider web. Its body slowly slid down, and it immediately lost consciousness. That's right, let's deal with the little mouse. The mysterious Stephanie smiled lightly. Confusion. Hum Alakazam and Sun Pokémon with blue eyes. Confusion catches Blastoise and Charmander. The terrible Confusion directly lock on them. With their strength, they can't get rid of elite-level Confusion at all. The bodies of the two Pokémon slowly rose into the air, covering a distance of nearly 100 meters. Then like a meteor falling to the ground. Bang bang. Two Pokémon slammed into the field with a loud noise, and dust filled the air. He didn't lose his fighting power, but he was resistant to fighting. The mysterious Stephanie felt it, and then said, "Energy ball." An energy ball blasts past. There was an explosion. The two Pokémon finally lost consciousness. So far, it was only 30 seconds before the game started. All the audience's eyes widened, their jaws opened wide, and the needle could be heard, and they all fell into a dead silence. Build also stayed where he was. This instant kill? Quasi-elite? He looked at Liu Chen and the mysterious Stephanie in disbelief. Those who could instantly kill his own Pokémon were at least quasi-elite. Pokémon to be elite, to participate in this kind of event? Finally, the sluggish people came back to their senses. I'm going? Is this the final? One of the finals kills the other in seconds? How big is the difference in strength? Awesome. These two are indeed dark horses. Arbitrarily, one of these two Pokémon can pick all the contestants, right? What level are these two Pokémon? In the eyes of these two former champions of no-rule competitions, I don't think I deserve to lift my shoes. This year is too exciting. The third-party forces that may cause interference have been resolved. The two sides are at war. The air is full of chills. Roar! Gyarados roared, producing a huge sound wave, and the eardrums of the surrounding people were drummed, and they covered their ears uncomfortable. Gyarados' aura was not hidden at all. It exploded directly and rushed straight into the sky. Scyther let out a low growl, and the aura of the elite class also erupted unscrupulously. It mixed with the momentum of Gyarados, and then crushed towards the opposite side in a row. Sun Pokémon, Alakazam. It's afternoon on the opposite side. The mysterious Stephanie chuckled. The eyes of the two Pokémon froze. Elite's aura also vented out, gathered together, and broke the embankment towards the opponent. Finally, the momentum of the two sides collided in the center of the field. In an instant, it was like two huge trucks out of control collided with each other. Boom, boom. The momentum collided together in the middle of the field, making a huge muffled thunder. The whole venue trembled. The hurricane was set off, and an invisible wave of air was blown in all directions. The surrounding spectators were blown back again and again, and those who were closer to the arena were even more blown off their feet. The broadcast screen shattered into countless pieces. Elite-level battles. Please stand back at least 100 meters to watch the battle. Host's voice rang on the radio. The organizers were also a little confused. How could there be two elites in such a small competition? The audience's eyes widened. What the FK? Elite Pokémon? No wonder it pushes all the way. Built was also stupid, thinking it was a quasi-elite, but he didn't expect it to be an elite level, and then smiled wryly it's not wrong to lose. After the brief astonishment of the audience, there was endless excitement. Elite level battles. In the past, I could only see it in the Elite Challenge or through the TV screen. Now you can actually see the battle of elite Pokémon live. They backed away quickly. Don't you retreat and seek death? Even the aftermath of an elite battle can't stand it. Chi, chi, chi. The momentum collided, and the two sides were evenly matched. Can't tell the difference. The two sides withdrew their momentum, and the terrifying momentum receded like a tide. The air is condensed, full of chills. Neither side broke the deadlock. Soaring in the sky began to rain, and Gyarados used the rain dance skill. Tick-tock. The first drop of rain fell on the ground, as if it was some kind of signal. Roar! Bathed in the rain, Gyarados roared, slammed his tail, and floated into the air like a cannon fired, and rushed towards the opponent. Sun Pokémon Quick Attack. Whoosh! The Sun Pokémon kicked its feet, turned into white light, and rushed towards Gyarados. Both Pokémon are incredibly fast. Half a second later, Chi-Bang! Two light shadows, one blue and one white, collided in the center of the field, making a huge muffled sound. Heads bumped against each other, wrestling with each other. However, in the contest of strength, Gyarados finally prevailed, and the ground under the Pokémon's feet collapsed downward. Sun Pokémon are a bit overwhelming. At this time, its eyes glow blue. Whoosh! In the distance, Alakazam's figure suddenly disappeared. Sun Pokémon and Alakazam actually swap bodies. This is the ability of the superpower system, Field Exchange. Alakazam appeared in sky above Gyarados' head, and the two spoons in his hand fused together and began to grow under the influence of confusion, becoming a spoon the same size as Alakazam himself. It lifted the spoon and slammed down, and there was a sound of cracking the air, and the huge spoon smashed hard towards Gyarados' head. It's too late, but it's fast. A green figure jumped out from behind Gyarados even faster. Clang! The sound of weapons colliding came. The spoon collided with Scyther's sickle. The huge force collided, and the powerful reaction force made both of them fly upside down. Gyarados curled his tail and caught Scyther. The Sun Pokémon confusion issued, and the cyan-wood-colored light appeared on Alakazam's body, and it took Alakazam steadily. First fight. The two are evenly matched again, like brothers. They are all calculating each other and have tactical arrangements for each other. Wow, The audience outside the stadium screamed frantically. This short 1-minute exchange of weapons made one's scalp tingle, and goosebumps rose all over his body. Is this an elite class battle? One set after another, flowing smoothly before doing it. I have already thought of the next action. This is simply a visual feast. Chapter 43, Combined Skills, Difficult Superpower System. For more, this wonderful duel also stunned Chen. Misty Grass, is it so powerful? It made his blood boil. But at the same time, I was also a little ashamed, as if I didn't know how to command them to fight. If you direct yourself, it seems that it will delay you. He doesn't know what tactics and tricks. Roar! On the battlefield, roars reappeared. Gyarados opened his mouth and sucked. The air seemed to be sucked dry, and an energy ball condensed in front of his mouth. From the size of a ping-pong ball, it slowly gathers energy and finally looks like a normal sun, extremely hot. Dragon skills, Dragon Rage. Although Gyarados is a water type plus flying type, he can learn and comprehend dragon type skills. This move was learned from Hanhanlong. Boom! Dragon Rage roars out towards Alakazam and the Sun Pokémon. Also at this moment, standing on Gyarados, Scyther surged with energy, folded his hands, and swung violently. There was a buzz in the air, and a huge green cross energy blade emerged. This is the bug-type skill, X-Scissor. X-Scissor came to the front of Dragon Rage, and then combined with Dragon Rage. Dragon Rage is pushing X-Scissor forward. Interesting combining skills. Then try head-on. The mysterious Stephanie seems to see a fun toy. Sun Pokémon Energy Ball. The Sun Pokémon called softly, and an energy ball was also condensing in front of its mouth. Boom! The energy ball, which was also as dazzling as the sun, blasted out, extremely powerful. Alakazam, Psybeam. Alakazam held the spoon, and in the spoon, colorful energy rays blasted out, spinning around the energy ball like colored threads. The energy ball combination skills of both sides are terrifying. Wherever they pass, the ground is constantly cracked and plowed up, and the soil is rolled to both sides with great momentum. Just like that, the two energy balls collided fiercely in the middle of the field. Rumble. There was a huge explosion, sound like shaking the earth, and the flames shot up into the sky, blazing hot, and the energy was astonishingly bright, like a nuclear bomb exploding. The huge stone was lifted up and shot in all directions. The heat wave hit, making people's cheeks burn. A fiery horror. After more than half a minute, the scene slowly returned to calm. In the middle of the field, there was an extremely huge pit. Under the powerful energy attack, the edge of the pit was scorched black. After the smoke dissipated, the people around were terrified, looking at the terrible pit with horror on their faces. Their Adam's apple wriggled with difficulty, and their faces turned pale. Is this the strength of the elite level? It's just too scary. Ho-ho! Gyarados and Scyther rushed over. Aquatail, two Fury Cutters, greet each other. Alakazam and Sun Pokémon disappear. The magical skill of the Psychic Department, Teleport, reappeared already behind Gyarados and Scyther. An energy attack is condensed in the hand. Sensing the danger, Gyarados and Scyther leapt to avoid the blow. They planned to fight back, but just as the attack arrived, the other party used Teleport to disappear. Whoosh! Subsequently, the Sun Pokémon and Alakazam approached Gyarados and Scyther respectively. Bang! Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The four Pokémon are fighting together. But the superpower Pokémon is slippery and ruthless, just like a loach. No matter how hard you catch it, you can't catch it. Ho-ho! Gyarados was getting a little annoyed. At this moment, its eyes lit up, and the Sun Pokémon it was fighting against had a neutral position. Sun Pokémon just used Teleport. There will be a 2-second CD period, and now, Sun Pokémon has revealed a gap. Good chance. It let out a low growl. All the strength of its body gathered on its tail, and the water flow covered it. It didn't hold back at all, and wanted to inflict heavy damage on the opponent and in the match. There was a terrifying sound of piercing through the air, and the huge tail violently swung towards the Sun Pokémon that was exposed. And the mysterious Stephanie in the distance showed cunning in her eyes. Alakazam launched. Field call. It and the Sun Pokémon's body shape were exchanged immediately. Boom! The ground trembled. Alakazam blocked Gyarados' full blow with a large spoon, and the ground under Alakazam's feet collapsed and cracked layer by layer, spreading away to the surroundings, and even fissure happened directly, which was extremely terrifying. But it was blocked after all. Whoosh! A voice came from behind Gyarados. The Sun Pokémon's CD cooled down, and Teleport instantly came behind Gyarados. There are colorful lights surging in front of its mouth. Psybeam. Gyarados couldn't dodge this blow at all. An Aqua Tail hit with all his strength, causing a gap behind him. The old power has not gone, and the new power has not been born. Powerless to resist, Scyther had a bad way in the dark, kicked her foot, and asked help Gyarados to make a rescue. However, how could the other party let it do what it wanted? Alakazam, hold spell. The terrible confusion came out, directly imprisoning Scyther's body, and Scyther's speed was hindered. It roared all over, broke out in momentum, and broke free from the hold spell. But it was too late. The fourth update is presented. The fifth update is 2 minutes later. Speechless, 4,500 characters are locked at 2,300 hours. I didn't expect to come out at 3 o'clock in the morning, my hand speed. I can't complain. Chapter 44, Gyarados' Breakthrough, a stunning strategy. Fifth change, Scyther, who wanted a rescue, was too late. The terrible attack of the Sun Pokémon finally fell on Gyarados. Boom! A huge flame exploded from Gyarados' back. The terrible impact set off a strong wind, flying sand and rocks. Gyarados' huge body was directly blasted more than 10 meters away, and his body slid on the ground, creating a deep ravine. Scyther finally came and slashed at the Sun Pokémon. With Psybeam, The sun Pokémon in size and in the air cannot be dodged. But Alakazam glowed deeply and faintly. Start again. The venue is exchanged. Clang. Alakazam's spoon collided with Scyther's scythe. The two separated with one blow. Swift, tackle Gyarados first. Whoosh whoosh. The sun Pokémon spit out Swift, tackle on Gyarados. Gyarados was blasted out again. Gyarados is only a quasi-elite, and the gap with elite is still there. Off the field. No, this Gyarados should be weaker. Yeah, it should be gone. The superpower system is really too rascal. Indeed, every time I fight against superpower Pokémon, I can vomit blood myself. In group battles, the superpower system is simply too invincible. Unless it is Pokémon that absolutely restrains them, their field exchange is really rogue. But it's okay, this game is really exciting. On the field, seeing Gyarados' miserable state, Chen couldn't help but frown. The Pokémon of the other party was too rascal. Flashing back and forth, it's still small, so it can't be hit at all. The most unacceptable thing is that they can also exchange positions. What is this Guewu Lai style of play? Scyther didn't dare to fight anymore, and quickly returned to Gyarados' side to protect Gyarados. Scyther asked with some concern. Gyarados raised his head. He was in a state of dismay and was badly wounded. It's still far too bad. Combat experience is too little. It raised its huge head with a fierce expression on its face. Can't bear it, can't bear it. It looked at its owner, not far away, with a worried expression on his face. I am so useless. It was the first time to fight for the master, but he was beaten so embarrassingly. It was really a waste. Think back to the island. All the Pokémon of the master. I am the weakest one, and even the divine beast, Celestic of the earth and Shindu of the sea, who is stronger than myself, follows my master. And every time something happened, the master brought him with him. What a Gyarados for myself. Such a weak Gyarados, why? Is such a weak self really worthy of everything the master gives? Gyarados' eyes turn scarlet. It's going to be strong. It's going to be strong. It has to become worthy of its master. Each of the owner's Pokémon should be invincible. Gyarados' dragon beard was dancing wildly. Its eyes turned scarlet little by little, and a messy aura erupted from him. This is the time to enter the Rampage contest condition. Gyarados is a cranky Pokémon in its own right, and irascibility is synonymous with it. Runaway contest condition. Its attack power will increase dramatically. But this is a competition, and the runaway contest condition is neither enemy nor friend. It's over. This Gyarados went berserk. It's really cold, which Stephanie's the champion belongs to. Hey, there was still hope, but once he ran away, it was gone. Opposite the mysterious Stephanie in a fisherman's hat also shook. Looks like the fun is over. At this time, Ong Ho. Gyarados fell into the runaway contest condition. The scarlet eyes faded instantly. An aura that was several chips stronger than before erupted, sweeping across the audience with a gale. Got promoted. Gyarados successfully advanced to the elite class. The mysterious Stephanie was a little surprised. This Gyarados can do it. He can suppress his instinct abruptly. He has unlimited potential and can fight against his own instincts. So far, the strength levels of the two sides are completely at the same level. Gyarados' huge body floated up, his eyes full of fighting spirit. The real battle has just begun. It absolutely will not shame the master. There are too many perverts around the master. It is normal for him to be at the bottom, and he should be defeated, but he is absolutely not allowed to be defeated by the Pokémon of the trainer outside. Scyther flew over Gyarados' head. The two beasts looked at the sun. Pokémon and Alakazam were fighting fiercely. The second battle begins. Roar! Gyarados charged at him. The ferocious big mouth gnawed towards Alakazam. Skills Crunch Attack. Alakazam dodges with Teleport. As soon as the figure flashed out, Scyther, standing on top of Gyarados' head, was killed instantly, and the sickle slashed towards Alakazam. Alakazam took the big spoon and fought him. Next, Gyarados and Scyther grabbed Alakazam and fought alone. Alakazam suddenly felt that his pressure increased sharply, especially Gyarados also advanced to the elite level. In the distance, the Sun Pokémon is also constantly using energy skills to attack Gyarados and Scyther. Gyarados will use corresponding energy attacks to cancel each other out. Bang, boom, boom, boom. Gyarados uses the water gun to imbue Alakazam, who is entangled with Scyther. Alakazam used Teleport again, teleporting away. As soon as he appeared, Gyarados killed him instantly. Aqua Tail came violently. Alakazam confusion vented out, and Aqua Tail was temporarily frozen. Before he could breathe a sigh of relief, there was a sharp sound of breaking through the air behind him. Scyther came to kill. Attack from both sides, attack from both sides. Its teleport is still cooling down. Its eyes were glowing, and it instantly switched places. It swaps with the Sun Pokémon again, and as soon as the Sun Pokémon appears, use teleport to dodge. Perfect fit. In this way, the skills of Gyarados and Scyther are lonely. But unexpectedly, Gyarados' Aqua Tail was still violently pumped away. In midair, Scyther flapped her wings and turned back sharply. Originally, Aqua Tail with her head facing Gyarados turned into Aqua Tail with her feet facing Gyarados in an instant. Bang bang. Aqua Tail landed directly on the soles of Scyther's feet. When Scyther kicked, it was like a bullet being ejected from the gun and the speed sword, making it impossible to see clearly. It turned into a sharp arrow and rushed towards Alakazam after switching positions. The location of teleport is difficult to find, full of uncertainty, but the figure of swapping positions is easy to find. After all, it is just two Pokémon swapping positions with each other. Just go to where the Sun Pokémon was just now. Scyther's speed was so fast that it even produced a sonic boom. As soon as Alakazam appeared, he realized that Scyther had come in front of him, and his scalp went numb with fright. Can teleport is still on CD, and there is still half a second to cool down. This half second has become an eternity. Bright energy surged on Scyther's scythe, and it was terrifying. X-Scissor. The gigantic X-Scissor unleashes directly in front of Alakazam. This will be impossible to hide, and it will hit directly at close range. Bang bang! X-Scissor directly pressed Alakazam to the ground, and the terrible penetration directly penetrated to the ground. Ground collapsed, like earthquake normal. From a distance, it looks like dominoes. A huge pit collapsed in the middle, and the land around the pit sank layer by layer like dominoes. Rumble. The ground cracked open. Gyarados charged, and an Aqua Tail knocked off the Sun Pokémon about to unleash confusion. Afterwards, a destructive death light condensed in its mouth. Whoosh! The destructive death beam also blasted where Alakazam was. Another deafening explosion. The flowers soared into the sky, and stones the size of a millstone were directly blasted into the air. A mushroom cloud rose with raging flames. The explosion created a shock wave that destroyed everything around it. The crowd of onlookers turned on their backs, staggered, and fell to the ground. Smoke and dust filled the field. The audience stood up, although they were extremely embarrassed. But everyone's face was full of excitement, and they looked forward to the middle of the pit, looking forward to the specific situation. After half an hour, the smoke dissipated. A huge pit appeared at the scene. In the middle of the pit, Alakazam has lost consciousness. I ate a bug-type X-Scissor that restrained the super energy system and ate a powerful destructive death ray. Both skills are well fed. It's weird to be able to stand up. Wow, there was a huge uproar at the scene. Lore. This result was simply unexpected. I thought that Gyarados was beaten before and would definitely lose. Unexpectedly, there was a shocking reversal. This year's competition is really exciting. The mysterious Stephanie looked at the unconscious Alakazam in the middle of the pit, a little in disbelief. How? How is it possible? She was murmuring absently. My Alakazam. How could it be defeated? No one noticed that her hair was windless and automatic, and her eyes were blooming with an inhuman blue light. She looked at Chen. Her eyes were full of blue light. But the next second, her eyes suddenly widened incomparably huge. Fifth update, this chapter 2900, 12,000 words have been updated today. I finally dare to speak loudly, begging for flowers evaluation tickets reward from everyone handsome. $1 is fine. More is a waste as long as you are you, oh the door. Chapter 45. Champion, the mysterious girl who follows. Watching Gyarados and Scyther attack smoothly, one set took away the other's Pokémon. A smile appeared on Liu Chen's face. Strong. His blood was boiling with excitement. Ho ho! Gyarados and Scyther growled excitedly, killed one, and then it was 2 against 1. They stared at the sun, Pokémon not far away, with rather unfriendly expressions. As long as you take down this Pokémon again, you win. Come on. Victory is in sight. The audience was also excited. What kind of fairy operation is this set of attacks? Is this an elite-level Pokémon? The scene was extremely shocking and pleasing to the eye. Ordinary trainer fights are just limited to the use of rigid skills. It's really awesome. The skills are all empty, and Aqua Tail can still be used like this. Yeah, Aqua Tail is like a thruster, directly increasing Scyther's speed exponentially, which is almost the same as teleportation. I've just changed my body shape, and you're already in front of me? You used X-Scissor on me? If I were Alakazam, I'd be dumbfounded. The heated discussion from the audience brought the mysterious girl back to her senses, and she still looked at Liu Chen with a deep sense of disbelief. I surrender. The mysterious Stephanie raised her hand. Contestant 888, are you sure to admit defeat? Sure. The referee waved the flag in his hand. In this irregular street competition, contestant number 95271, he announced the result of the game. The audience was a little stunned, and they looked at each other. They haven't watched it enough yet. Have they admitted defeat? Then suddenly realized, indeed, there's only one Sun Pokémon left, and there is no chance of winning. At most, it will last for a while. After all, Bug-type Scyther can restrain the superpower system in terms of attribute. Face off against 2 Pokémon of the same level. Admitting defeat is also a wise choice. Immediately, huge cheers broke out at the scene. This year's street competition without rules is really enjoyable and exciting. It is simply a gluttonous feast. Immediately after the host came on stage, a succinct closing statement. Then came the awards. 100W Alliance coins and a Pokémon egg. The process is over. It means that this year's irregular street competition is over. When the lights come on, the lights of Cerulean City are already bright. The audience dispersed in 2s and 3s, still discussing the fight just now. During the period, it was inevitable that some forces or organizations would ask Liu Chen if he wanted to join. He was also asked if he sold Scyther and Gyarados. These people made Liu Chen's head big. He had no choice but to take off in Scyther to get rid of the entanglement of these people. When you have money, it's time to get down to business. It landed at the door of the clothing store. With money in your pocket, you were confident. I went in and bought about 4 or 5 sets of clothes and bought a peak cap to wear on my head in case I was recognized again. When I came out of the clothing store again, the sky was completely dark. After a busy day, I am hungry enough. After finding a restaurant that looked quite high-end, Liu Chen went in to eat. This meal, Liu Chen's food, was extremely comfortable. Gyarados and Scyther are also in the Pokémon eating area. Stuffed cheeks. This kind of modern food has not been eaten for a long time. I did some more shopping and bought some daily necessities. After it was getting a room in the hotel, it was getting late. Liu Chen planned to spend the night in this city. For the Pokémon on the island, when he went out in the morning, he also left rations. In addition, there are many tree fruits on the island, so there's no need to worry about them starving. Played with Celebi for a while. Liu Chen hugged Yon and took Celebi to a deep sleep. Next morning, Liu Chen walked out of the hotel refreshed. It was such a good sleep. I haven't slept on this soft bed for a long time, but it's time to go back. Although the city is nice, there is no sense of belonging. On the island, it is the most relaxing and comfortable. At worst, in a few days, I will go shopping again, buying beds, mattresses, and so on. Came to the seaside of Cerulean City. Throw the Pokeball. Roar. Gyarados appeared, and Liu Chen rode up. Gyarados understood, and his huge body swam, pushed the water, and galloped across the sea. Cerulean City became smaller and smaller in the eyes. They started the return journey, sailing in the endless sea. The sea is sparkling. Celebi flew above Chen's head. Its gentle and calming breath attracts many water Pokémon and Gyarados to swim together. The scene was warm, but in the next second, these water system Pokémon suddenly dispersed, as if they saw something terrible. Roar! Gyarados stopped with a low growl, because about 10 meters ahead, there is a reef protruding from the water, and a person is standing on it. It's finally you. This is a Stephanie who is the same age as Chen. He has long black hair hanging behind him, wearing a black dress, with a melon-shaped face, fair complexion, and a cold brow. But Chen recognized her. The look in her eyes was that of Stephanie, who wore a peaked cap in yesterday's final. However, according to the other party, is she waiting for herself on purpose? He was a little puzzled and just wanted to ask. The opponent changed lanes. You're the same kind, right? The girl looked at Chen with anticipation and trepidation. She looked like a child desperately wanting a playmate. What kind? A question mark appeared on Chen's head. Don't pretend my ability is useless to you, and I also feel the same breath from you. You're definitely the same kind. The girl looked at Chen. Your aura is completely restrained. At first, I didn't realize that you were the same person as me. Later, when I activated my ability on you, I realized that you have the same aura as me. Can you control it? The girl is talking to herself. Chatter. Chen was confused. He scratched his head. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop pretending. We're the same kind. We are all different. Since you refuse to admit it, then don't blame me for forcing you to take action. The girl black's hair floated automatically without wind. There was a blue light in her eyes. I go. Chen's eyes widened, and he saw that the girl was directly floating in the air. Chen is so stupid. He is not a beginner who just came to this world. He knows that the mainstream profession in this world is trainer. People and Pokémon live in harmony, and trainer is to subdue Pokémon and then carry out exploration and battle. The human beings in this world do not have all kinds of magic and fighting spirit like the Western fantasy novels he read. But what the hell is this girl who can fly? A terrifying aura emanated from the girl's body, and the calm sea suddenly became rough. It's like the hurricane rain, with waves and rough seas. The Pokémon under the sea fled one after another, leaving the sea area as if fleeing. Chi, 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 chi. One after another, water jets erupted from the sea. Since you refuse to admit it, I will force you to do it yourself. Hey, wait a minute. What are you admitting? What are you talking about? Please say it well. Chen was dumbfounded. What the hell is this? With cold eyes, the girl stretched out her hand to Chen. Boom! These water jets turned into water dragons, opened their ferocious mouths, and rushed towards Chen. Chapter 46. The Runaway Supergirl, the Pokémon Egg Hatches. The rising water column turned into water dragons, roaring towards Chen. This scene stunned Chen. What the hell is this? How can a person use skills like Pokémon? From a girl's tone, it doesn't look like a Pokémon, does it? Could it be that I met a lunatic? Luckily, Gyarados is water-based. Roar! Gyarados roared, destroying the condensed death light, and defeated the rushing water dragon, rushing towards the girl with undiminished power. The blue light in the girl's eyes flickered, and her figure disappeared into the air. Boom! The destructive death ray flattened the reef protruding from the sea, blasting countless rubble. Gyarados, let's go! Gyarados slapped his tail and rushed out. This is at sea, and it will be troublesome once it is thrown into the water, so Chen doesn't intend to get entangled with the other party. Gyarados turned into a white wave and rushed towards the distance, flying 100 meters away in an instant. Behind, the waves roared, and the girl chased after her in the air. The blue glow on her body prospered. Sea water floated up and then condensed into balls of water around her. Whoosh! Like a cannon popping out of its chamber, the wash basin-sized water polo let out a sonic boom and blasted towards Chen. Gyarados moved nimbly through the water, dodging the attack. Boom! When the water polo hit the sea, it was really like a shell exploding. Bang, bang, bang. The water polo kept falling, and the water splashed high. As a water-type Pokémon, Gyarados is like a fish in the water, dodging the opponent's water polo. However, the opponent's relentless pursuit also made Lu Chun feel pressured. Where did I provoke the other party? What he said was strange. Why is she your kind? Why should she make a move? This is crazy. Lu Chun was also speechless. How could such a thing happen after finally going out? Gyarados, can you speed up? Lu Chun asked. He just wanted to get rid of it quickly. Gyarados nodded. The blue energy surged on his body, and the blue scales got closer to the sea water, and the surrounding sea water rushed over. It manipulated the sea water, flicked its wings again, and the current pushed it out. The speed actually skyrocketed again. In a few seconds, the girl was separated by several hundred meters, and the gap was still widening. The girl glared at Lear. It's hard to come across a similar one. No, absolutely cannot let the other party escape. You can't escape. She looked at Luo Chan in her eyes, as if she was a child of Covet's playmates, and suddenly looked back and realized that she was not alone. There are still 2 days before the cycle. It should be fine to untie it. As if she had made a decision, she reached out and pressed a button on her neck. Gotcha! It was a round collar. Suddenly, a stronger aura erupted from her body. She stared in the air with her feet covered in blue light. Her speed skyrocketed, and she chased after Lu Chun, even faster than Gyarados. It quickly caught up with Lu Chun, just about to imprison Lu Chun. Pain and panic suddenly appeared on the girl's face. Ow! How is it possible? There are still 2 days. What? A scream of pain came out of her mouth, and her whole body trembled violently in the air. This scene made Lu Chun a little puzzled. Is this sick? Hey, what's the matter with you? Lu Chun asked. You go, I can't control it. The girl hugged her shoulders with both hands, trying to restrain something. Her whole body was shaking violently like chaff. Hurry up, let's go. The voice just fell. Boom, boom, boom. A terrifying breath emanated from her body, completely different from before. Soaring in the sky suddenly dimmed. Dark clouds covered the top, and the wind howled. The girl's black hair turned into silver hair in an instant, and there was no trace of human emotion in her eyes. The sudden blue light in her eyes was shining brightly, and an extremely powerful mental force centered on her swept away in all directions, and the sea retreated. A huge vortex spread under her feet, devouring everything. A pair of eyes glowed with a bright and evil cyan-wood color, floating high in the sky, like a god's residence overlooking the world. The sea water rose and turned into 4 huge dragons. The body of Gyarados is already huge, but these 4 water dragons are more than 10 times bigger. I'm going. That's too much. Lu Chun directly let Gyarados fly into the sky. These 4 big water dragons, what a fart. Gyarados soared into the sky, fleeing towards the distance. 4 water dragons roared, but Gyarados was in the air, too nimble to catch. The girl's terrifying mental power was released. He raised his hand, facing Lu Chun with his palm, and squeezed his 5 fingers slightly toward his palm. Terrible mental power rushed directly to Lu Chun. Suddenly, the girl, without a trace of emotion, instinctively showed fear in her eyes. It's like an ant, but it is delusional to attack a prehistoric beast. But now, her behavior has finally angered this prehistoric beast. Chi, 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 chi. In her eyes, the sky and the earth collapsed. Countless laws emerged from the opponent's body, and the whole world trembled. Her mental power applied to the opponent, like a small drop of water falling into the boundless ocean. Not to mention imprisoning the other party. You don't even have the qualifications to let the other party notice it. Boom! Mental power directly counterattacks. The long silver hair morphed into black again. The dark clouds dissipated, and the strong wind stopped. The girl's head tilted. Her spirit was severely injured, and she fell into the sea. When Lu Chun heard the movement, he turned his head and saw the girl floating on the sea. Some speechless. Why did he faint? Forget it. It's a human life anyway, and the other party didn't do anything to me. Go back and pick up the girl. Gyarados swam back toward the island. After about an hour, the outline of his own island appeared before his eyes. Finally going back. Bye, BB. Suddenly, Shalebi flew out of his new backpack. The little guy pointed to the backpack. Lu Chen was slightly taken aback. He remembered that the Pokemon eggs that were rewarded for winning the competition were in his backpack, right? Open the backpack. The Pokemon egg is glowing white. Ka-ka-ka-ka subtle sounds kept coming. Finally, the white light flourished and the whole egg shattered. Chapter 47. Pi Piku. A blinding white light bloomed from the Pokemon egg. Ka-ka-ka. There was a crisp sound. The Pokemon egg has a crack in its body. Subsequently, there are more and more noises, and the cracks are like spiderweb. Celebi sat on Lu Chen's shoulder, looking at the egg cutely. His little head is really cute. Lu Chen rubbed Celebi's head. He really fell asleep, and the noise just now didn't wake him up. It is estimated that waking up is also awakened by the white cow emitted by the Pokemon egg. Are you going to hatch? Lu Chen looked forward to it. This world is really amazing. These monsters, no, these Pokemon are all born from eggs. Finally, cow has reached a certain point. Click! With a loud bang, the Pokemon egg, which was already covered with spider web-like cracks, shattered in an instant. Pi Pika, the white light dissipated, and the voice of Milk came. I saw that the entire Pokemon egg had disappeared, and in its place was a little mouse, normal, with pointed ears, a round little face, and 2 round blushes on his cheeks. The tail is black, the hair on the neck is also black. Except for these places, the rest is saffron color. The little guy just came into this world. The pure eyes are full of curiosity about everything, and the little head looks around. Ho ho! Gyarados looked back, with a smile in his eyes, showing kindness to the little guy. Ken with its ferocious dragon head. No matter how kind it is, how good can it be? Clefairy skin. Piku, oh. The little guy sat down on the ground in fright, buried his head in his arms, and held his little head in his hands. This scene is very cute. It's okay, it won't hurt you. Lu Chen reached out, picked up the little guy, and put it in his arms. Inexplicably being picked up, the little guy was startled. Just when he was about to launch an attack, he found that in this person's arms, he was very at ease, as if he had returned to his mother's arms. By BB, Celebi flew down, holding the little guy's hand, talking about something. The little guy looked up at Lu Chen, tilted his head, and fell silent. Lu Chen rubbed the little guy's head. His palm was covered with greenery. This is a skill rewarded by the system for some unknown purpose, the power of appeasement. Every time Celebi is stroked with soothing power, Celebi looks amused. As expected, when Lu Chen stroked the little guy's head with his hand covered with soothing power, it narrowed its eyes immediately after receiving the astonish, with a look of enjoyment on its face. The blush on the cheeks has electric arcs that bounce, and it comfortably sounds Piku. The little guy is also very easy to touch, like holding a kitten, a small plu, with a faint milky fragrance on his body. Look at the thunder arc on the little guy's cheek. So you're from the electrical department. Lu Chen probed the little guy's name. Piku. Your name is Piku? Piku. It found a comfortable place to lie down and let Lu Chen stroke it. Lu Chen smiled, but the name was right. Piku. The opponent's growl belonged to Piku. Look at the little guy. Lu Chen didn't know why there was a sense of familiarity, as if he had seen something similar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it. Maybe when I was participating in a competition in Cerulean City, I saw Piku when I saw a Pokemon with a trainer. Celebi also huddled in Lu Chen's arms, and Piku huddled together. Lu Chen was stroking the 2 little guys, just like stroking a newborn kitten. The sea breeze is gentle. Gyarados landed and flew directly to the small lake on the island. See Gyarados back. The Pokemon around the small lake were chattering and welcoming Lu Chen home. It was extremely lively. Calling friends, they rushed towards a grassland next to the small lake. Gyarados landed on the lawn. Han Long looked at Lu Chen with some resentment, as if he was blaming Lu Chen for not taking him out to play. Lu Chen gave it a blank look. I didn't blame you for not knowing where to go to play, and I didn't punish you for not having food. Where did you go to play? Han Long was startled. There was no resentment. He immediately showed a smile like Era, and then slipped away, pretending he didn't hear. This idiot! Lu Chen was speechless. Seeing so many Pokemon, Piku, who was a little shy, hid in Lu Chen's arms timidly. It's okay. They're all your future friends. Chen said to his Pokémon again, "This is Pikachu, and it has joined our big family today. If anyone bullies it, I won't beat you." Speaking of beating, even Groudon and Kyogre shrunk their necks. A little cowardly, Shelleby pulled Pikachu and flew over Groudon's head, and then, using Groudon as a slide, slid down its head and onto the end of its tail. Then he ran to Dragonite's belly and used Hanlong's big belly as a trampoline, bouncing on it. Soon, Pikachu's strangeness wears off. With Shelleby, they let out a series of hearty laughter. Looking at this warm and harmonious picture, a smile appeared on Chen's face. But then, he looked at the black-haired girl lying on the grass with a big face. How to deal with this? Fainted, just when hesitating how to deal with it. Cough, cough, cough. There was a coughing sound. The comatose black long straight girl woke up. "Are you okay?" Chen went up to ask, on the ground. He is not afraid of the other party's attack. The girl waited for a while, and then said to Chen, "Master, teach me how to control psychic." Chen. The girl looked at Chen with shock in her eyes. Although she had gone berserk before and her body was controlled by the psychic in her body, she could still perceive everything outside, but she couldn't control her body and the power of her runaway. The opponent's strength is too terrifying. Going berserk in the contest condition, I wanted to attack the opponent, but the opponent's power only countershocked, and the psychic in my body was shocked and collapsed. At this time, she felt, even without the restraint collar, the psychic inside her curled into a ball. It was as if he was afraid of the man in front of him. The power of this man in front of him is simply terrifying. If it is said that his strength under the rampant contest condition can reach the legendary level, then this man is at least above the level of a divine beast. Because I'm not full-time, my update is in the afternoon and evening. In addition, the editor informed that the recommendation will be published on Wednesday, so there may not be 5 updates in these 2 days, and it should only be 4 updates. I have to slow down a bit. The 4 chapters one I'm talking about are full of 2,000 plus words, not the chapters of other people's 1,500 words. The total number of words in their 5th shift is only 7,500, while my 4th shift is close to 9,000. My book, in fact, each chapter is full of 2,000 plus words, and now it is in the early 100,000s. According to a chapter of 2,000 words, I should have 50 chapters. However, my chapters are only 47 chapters, and it may only be 57 chapters when it hits the shelves. Less than. As for other people's books, Schweibe can go and have a look, and they have 70 or 80 chapters of public chapters by the time they're on the shelves. Chapter 48. Psychic Girl, Sabrina. One more. Chapter 48. Psychic Girl, Sabrina. The girl stared at Chen with burning eyes. He is also sure that the other party is the same kind. She has been looking for 18 years, but she has been struggling to find the same kind, and finally found it today. Moreover, she also found that the terrifying power in her body shrank into a ball in front of this man, like a mouse seeing a cat, and dared not move. You know, every time the power in her body goes berserk, the messy power will make her feel worse than death. When a mental power is excessively overdrawn when it is rampant, it will cause a headache. This is the aftermath of the runaway. However, at this time, she felt refreshed and her body was extremely light. The power in the body no longer dared to think about completely occupying his body, but shivered and shrank into a ball inside the body. Right? Just shivering. For the first time, she felt her own power and fear. All of this stemmed from the terrifying man in front of him. Even if this terrifying man only showed the tip of the iceberg, it was enough to make the strength in his body feel what fear was. The most important thing is she is finally not alone. A smile broke out on her face. Turned out to be she is not the only one like this in the world. She is not a different kind, nor is she a monster. After searching for so many years, I finally found my companion. Far away, Grayton glanced at the girl. This human girl is amazing. She actually has the laws of the superpower system, but it is not complete, as if she forcibly intercepted a section of laws from someone else. Because this law is not perfect, it will riot. It's just an incomplete rule, but it still seems to have a trace of the original owner's consciousness. That's why this law is like a living normal. In fact, it is just a little bit of consciousness, but it knows how to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages. Because there's a trace of the original owner's consciousness, this superpower law is full of anger. This girl can't control the superpower law herself. This superpower law should riot once in a while. But why doesn't this rule dare to take the lead? It seems to be influenced by Astonish. Could it be attack the master? For normal, as long as he doesn't attack Lu Chun with laws. The laws around Lu Chun are like dead, and normal people can't detect it at all. But once you use the law to attack Lu Chun, then you're done. A random tremor of the law on Lu Chun's body is enough to crush you. Feeling the human body shrinking into a ball, constantly conveying the law of the superpower system of fear. Guladon felt a little sympathetic. The Astonish received too much. I thought the other party was a weak chicken, so I ran over to strike, but who knew that the other party was a wild beast? The other side, Lu Chun also heard all about the girl. It turned out that the girl's name was Sabrina. I have had a strange psychic since I was a child, just like the superpower Pokémon. Because it was out of control at all, it caused countless disasters from childhood to adulthood. Everyone around her sees her as a monster and an alien. I have no friend since I was a child. Wherever he went, he was met with disgust and vicious words. She didn't know how many times she moved. At the back, her heart slowly closed, and she only played with superpower Pokémon. Later, as she grew older, her body became larger and larger and seemed to have consciousness. Her strength is also growing with age. Along with her growth is the psychic in her body. The increase in strength in her body is far stronger than what she can display by herself. The power in the body seems to have consciousness. He wants to occupy her body and completely replace her. Every once in a while, they run wild together. Although she entrusted someone to make a neck ring that can restrain the power of the psychic system, the power in her body will still increase. It is nothing more than a question of how fast to grow. As time goes by, once in half a year from the beginning, once in 3 months, run away once a month. At last, it has become what it is today, once in 10 days. 10 days ago, the power in his body went berserk again, directly destroying a large forest. Every time she woke up, she was almost in the ruins, smelling salts. Her home was also destroyed. She came out to relax and planned to go to the sea next time, so as not to cause damage to the surroundings. So she chose Cerulean City by the sea. But it has only been 5 days since the last runaway, and another runaway happened today. In other words, the strength in the body has increased. When the time interval between rampage is getting shorter and shorter. When one day, the frequency of the rampage reaches 1 day, it means that she is no longer her. After listening to the confession of this girl, named Sabrina, Lu Chun was also shocked by this bizarre incident. If he hadn't seen the other party go berserk with his own eyes, he would have thought that the other party was making up a story. The world is really big and full of wonders. But if you feel sorry for this girl, you will feel sorry for her. And if you feel sorry for this girl, you will feel sorry for her. He spread his hands. Then I can't help you. Yes, master. Just accept me as your apprentice. Teach me to control psychic and spirit power, said Sabrina. Lu Chun was stunned. When did he have psychic? This appears to be stupefied. I really don't. Lu Chun explained it many times, but Sabrina still wants to teach her to herself. In the end, Sabrina didn't insist. Your island is quite big, so how about it, master? Can I live here? Sabrina said, there must be a reason for the other party's refusal to accept her as an apprentice. Maybe she attacked him before? Then you can only slowly let the other party change their view of you. As long as he stays by his side, it's fine. With the other party around, the power in his body will be very obedient. Whatever. Lu Chun felt a little helpless. This girl is quite pitiful. So let's take it in. And this island is not his own. He has no title deed. And looking at the other person's appearance, even if he refuses, he will stay. Fortunately, she was fine with it. If the opponent goes berserk again, with so many Pokémon on the island, it should be able to stop it. Okay, thank you, master. Sabrina threw a Pokeball. Alakazam, you go to Cerulean City to buy some daily necessities. Sabrina ordered Alakazam directly. and then gave the other party an alliance card. Alakazam nodded and floated up. Ong-ho-ho, Han Long heard that he was excited to go out. So he flew over, staring at Lu Chen expectantly. Lu Chen thought for a while. Sabrina's Alakazam has also seen it himself, and it is very strong. He's not a novice either. Cerulean City played a game. Although I didn't understand it carefully, I probably knew the level through the mouth of the audience. Elite level. Onscyther and Gyarados are both elite level. Judging from the excited tone of the audience, the elite class should be quite strong. This also made him a little embarrassed again. The Gyarados that was captured by accident and the Scyther that was picked up were both so strong. With Alakazam, who is also at the elite level, Han Long, a weak chicken, should be fine. Then you go. Ong-ho-ho. Han Long was excited, then flapped his wings and left with Alakazam. At the same time, Kanto region, deep in a certain trackless forest. A cyan wood-colored figure rides the north wind, and its body is extremely elegant. Suicune Lu Chen didn't come back yesterday, and Suicune also went out. The figure of Suicune dances in the forest. Soon, it stopped in front of Valley. On the big rock in the valley, there are two Pokémon. NTI, Raikou. Notice of name change. This book starts from Pokémon. So you are mythical beasts? Was changed to I really didn't know that you were divine beasts. Some depressed. All Feilu's anime fans and new books that are not on the shelves have to change their names. Any title that suggests an original work will not do. The new pirate book cannot contain the word pirate, nor the name of the corresponding character. For example, I tricked Ace and Luffy into being the Navy, and I tricked Naruto into being a rebel. Leading Luffy and Naruto, neither can. Same the Pokemon text has deliberately avoided the words Pokemon, Pet Pokemon, Pocket Monster, and Pokemon. These words are used as the title of the book, and the word Pokemon is used. Neither need to change the Pokemon prefix. When I received the notice, I was very apprehensive because the Dojin space would not work. If it is recommended on the internet, there are 40,000 favorites by colleagues and more than 20,000 originals, which are original online recommendations. Now that there is no suggestive book title that readers can see at a glance, it is estimated that Feilu's colleagues will be miserable. Ugh. If the title of the book is changed, the impact will definitely be great. I don't know what will happen to the shelves. Just have to hurry up. Confused. Chapter 49. Han Long went to the gymnasium. Second update. This forest connects the Kanto region and the Chengdu region, half of which belongs to Kanto and half to Chengdu. The valley of the forest is empty and quiet. The stream is shallow, the grass is luxuriant, and the sun shines in, just like a normal fairyland. Suicune frowned at Taniguchi. It was right here. It jumped in. The towering peaks of the valley, a figure saw Suicune, and it fell from its height. When it landed, a cluster of flames ignited on the soles of the limbs, as if it could walk on fire. This Pokemon has orange-red hair, powerful limbs, and something in the shape of a hoop. There's a normal mane like a lion on the back, like a cloud of smoke after a flame burns. It has red hexastar-like structures growing on its cheeks, and normal saffron-colored hair shell with clover embedded in its forehead. This is one of the 3 Pokemon revived by Ho-Oh, along with Suicune, the NEI who is also the 3 holy beasts. Seeing Suicune, NTI, who is the most unsmiling among the 3 holy beasts, also showed joy on his face. It growled at Suicune. Suicune looked at NTI and found that there was a bony wound on NEI's back, and the wound had scabbed over. But it is also enough to see how seriously the other party was injured. Whoosh, a bolt of lightning shot out from the depths of the valley. Shaped like a saber-toothed tiger, with lightning-like tattoos on his body, it was like a kitten running to rub Suicune's cheek. Raikou, one of the 3 holy beasts. So far, the 3 holy beasts have all arrived. Raikou also has unhealed injuries on his body. You were all attacked? Suicune asked through mental power, and it let out an unkind growl from its throat. Raikou and NEI nodded. Killing intent flashed in Suicune's eyes. It was not accidental, but a premeditated action. That organization actually attacked all 3 of them. Follow me, Suicune whispered, sending a message. Reiku and NTI were taken aback. Where are you going? Go to my master's territory. Sensing the message from Suikun's mental power, Reiku and NTI were completely stunned. Owner? Suikun has a master? Could it be that he has been subdued and has already betrayed? But this idea was snuffed out as soon as it came up. No one in the world can subdue the divine beast, and some only follow the divine beast actively. As for the little pokeball of human beings, there is no way to control them. Unless some special method was used to control the beast, Suikun's current appearance does not seem to be controlled by humans. So did it really actively follow a human being and become the opponent's Pokemon? Looking at the sluggy beasts, Suikun didn't waste his saliva in explaining. Its eyes narrowed slightly. The blue light on his body flashed. Boom! A powerful aura soared into the sky. The sky trembled, the air became heavy, and a terrifying aura swept across the entire forest, and the forest was suddenly silent at this moment. Feel the momentum of Suikun today. NTI and Reiku's eyes widened, as if they had discovered something shocking yet unbelievable. Breakthrough. Suikun actually broke through. How is this possible? The three of them were resurrected by Ho-Oh, and the reason why they became beasts was because Ho-Oh used 3 treasures with the laws of fire, thunder, and water while resurrecting them. The strength of this body is not from their cultivation, so their strength will never increase for life. But Suikun's strength actually broke through. They feel a little informal, as if in a dream. What exactly is going on? NTI couldn't help asking. It cared about its own strength the most. Unlike Suikun and Reiku, when Suikun and Reiku knew that their own strength could not be increased, they no longer insisted. But Reiku is still trying to improve his strength. Yeah, Suikun, how did you do it? Because of my master. My master has the ability to make me break through. The spiritual power of the 3 holy beasts vented out, intertwined, and communicated with each other. Even if it is not a Pokemon of the superpower system, when its strength reaches the level of a beast, it can still use its spiritual power freely. Both mythical beasts and psychic Pokemon can communicate with humans through spiritual power. When on the island, Suikun also tried to communicate with the owner Chen, trying to hook and connect with each other's spiritual power. But to no avail. Its spiritual power can't connect with its master at all, and the spiritual power of both parties is not on the same level. You can only wait for the master to take the initiative to use spiritual power to connect with your own spiritual power to achieve the effect of communication. For normal, the Pokemon of the psychic system communicates with its master because human beings have relatively weak spiritual power. Therefore, the superpower Pokemon with strong spiritual power can actively evoke the spiritual power of human beings to communicate. On the contrary, because human beings have weaker mental power than Pokemon, they can't move Pokemon's mental power, and he can't actively communicate with his own Pokemon. But in Chen's case, it's just the opposite. Chen's spiritual power is the boundless ocean, while Suikun's is a stream. A brook takes its head to move the sea. He could only wait for the master to communicate with him, but Chen didn't know that he had such a strong power. So, that's what happened. The exchange of the 3 holy beasts is also over. Ho-ho, Suikun, quickly take me to your master. NEI couldn't wait. Our 3 sacred beasts actively follow. Your master should be very excited. Human beings dream of wanting one, but 3 of them actively follow. NTI rode. Suikun glanced at it, thinking of the 2 terrifying big brothers on the island. Still excited? The masters of those 2 big brothers dared to chase and beat them. Those 2 bosses just stayed there and refused to leave. It's going to leave it alone. At that time, let NEI feel what it means to face slap. It jumped out lightly, riding the north wind. NTI and Reiku followed, like a fire and a bolt of lightning, following Suikun. 2 flowers bloom, each representing a branch. The Cerulean Gymnasium is finally open. Counting the days, it should be the trainer of the new year who is about to start traveling. It started the gym challenge. Wow, this is too difficult. Isn't such a mighty Onyx instantly killed by the fast-swimming frog? It's all silly, right? Use the rock system to beat the water system. But let's not say it. This year's Gymnasium Challenge, according to the Alliance's regulations, seems to have increased the difficulty. Han Hanlong and Alakazam are about to leave after shopping. Han Hanlong looked down at a group of people surrounding an aquarium-like building. Badge? Han Hanlong tilted his neck. He had heard of this thing. It seems that many human trainers are collecting this thing. It seems that they want to fight with the human Pokémon in this gym. And if they win, they will give badge. Han Hanlong seemed to have thought of something. Since human beings like badge, if you get the badge and give it to the owner should be very happy, right? Han Hanlong's eyes became brighter as he thought about it, and he let out a low growl at Alakazam. Then it spread its wings and flew down. Chapter 50. Han Hanlong is being targeted. Third update, Cerulean Gym. It is a water gymnasium in Kanto. The battlefield of the gymnasium is built on a huge swimming pool. The battlefield is covered by sea water, and there are floating boards on the water surface. At this time, there is a fight going on in the gym. Swimming Frog dragged Growlithe into the water. A girl with orange hair and side ponytail directed. Puffchi, a muscular humanoid upright frog, leaped out of the water and carried a Growlithe into the water. A few seconds later, Growlithe's figure floated up, his eyes rolled in circles, and he had lost consciousness. The match is over. The challenger's 3 Pokémon have lost consciousness, and the gym master wins. Challenger failed. The referee next to him announced the result of the game. Damn it, I will definitely beat you next time. The trainer retrieves the unconscious Growlithe. Misty is all speechless. Beat yourself up? Go back and learn attribute restraint first. 1 Geodude, 1 Onix, 1 Growlithe. The 3 who were defeated by the water Pokémon. What to use to beat them? Anyone else want a challenge? Misty yelled at Trainer, who was watching from the audience. These are the old fritters from the last session. The Alliance issued an order in order to cultivate the new generation of trainers and also to prevent the old fritters from squeezing the resources of the new generation of trainers. This year, the difficulty of the old fritters has increased. The onlookers looked at each other in blank dismay, but no one dared to go up. Chi at this time, the sound of flapping wings came. Boom! An orange figure landed on the floating board of the battle pool. I go. Dragonite? People from a Yulong family came to challenge. Damn, it's the first time I've seen our Kanto quasi-god at such a close distance. The audience watched the—
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.